Hitler on the take, same with Mr. Nye. All we keep asking is why. Justice don't exist, truth never found. Justice never there, never sticks to the ground. Hypocrite Hitler, time to retire. In session, man on the bench, took that oath, but knuckles still clench. Billy Boy walks, eyes like a threat, won't say a word, but we won't forget. Hitler shakes his hand, let the games begin. Paper smiles, poison pens, every deal's a sin. Liars telling lies, fakers being fake, defense in the fire. How much can they take? Flags flying red, lights flying high. Hitler on the take, same with Mr. Nye. All we keep asking is why. Justice don't exist, truth never found. Justice never there, never sticks to the ground. Hypocrite Hitler, time to retire. Whispers in the hall, cash in the sleeve. Sentence already sold long before we leave. Gable hits the wood, echo feels wrong. Whole room guilty, but the game rolls on. Every overruled cuts another throat. Every sustained, just another quote. They preach the code, then twist it for higher. Watch them write the law like a funeral pyre. Flags flying red, lights flying high. Hitler on the take, same with Mr. Nye. All we keep asking is why. Justice don't exist, truth never found. Justice never there, never sticks to the ground. Hypocrite Hitler, time to retire. Bang that desk, we won't be quiet. Name that death, call out the riot. Tore our faith, set it on fire. Hitler, Hitler, time to retire. Time to retire. Time to retire. Flags flying red, lights flying high. Hitler on the take, same with Mr. Nye. All we keep asking is why. Justice don't exist, truth never found. Justice never there, never sticks to the ground. Hypocrite Hitler, time to retire. In session, man on the bench, took that oath, but knuckles still clench. Billy Boy walks, eyes like a threat, won't say a word, but we won't forget. Hitler shakes his hand, let the games begin. Paper smiles, poison pens, every deal's a sin. Liars telling lies, fakers being fake, defense in the fire. How much can they take? Flags flying red, lights flying high. Hitler on the take, same with Mr. Nye. All we keep asking is why. Justice don't exist, truth never found. Justice never there, never sticks to the ground. Hypocrite Hitler, time to retire. Whispers in the hall, cash in the sleeve. Sentence already sold long before we leave. Cable hits the wood, echo feels wrong. Whole room guilty, but the game rolls on. Every overruled cuts another throat. Every sustained, just another quote. They preach the code, then twist it for higher. Watch them write the law like a funeral pyre. Flags flying red, lights flying high. Hitler on the take, same with Mr. Nye. All we keep asking is why. Justice don't exist, truth never found. Justice never there, never sticks to the ground. Hypocrite Hitler, time to retire. Bang that desk, we to retire. Time to retire. Flags flying red, lights flying high. So high. Hitler on the takes and with Mr. Nye. All we keep asking is why. Justice don't exist. Truth never found. Justice never there. Never sticks to the ground. Hypocrite Hitler. Time to retire. Dirty, dirty green. Yeah, you know what I mean. Smile so clean. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Hands so filthy, unseen. Big man on campus. Shark in a Letterman jacket. Laugh while the whole town drowns. He just skims off the habit. Lives in the shadows, fake sugar on his teeth. Tells tales at the conch out. Nobody buys what he speaks. Dirty, daddy green. Pocket fat from grief. Plays a saint on Sunday. Wears the mask all week. Got the suits on the string. All the badges on a leash. Blink, once you miss it, he'll drag you to the brink. Dirty, daddy green. Out of what he steals. Smiles in your face. Signs, crooked deals. Every hallway. Every street. They're all in his pockets. Kissing his feet. He got MPD in his jacket. ISP on the chain. Every handshake, every favor. Bought and paid in your pain. By the feeder at the banquet. Posing like he runs the place. But the rot drips through when you look him in the face. Oh! Dirty, daddy green. Pockets fat from grief. Plays the saint on Sunday. Wears the mask all week. Got the suits on a string. All the badges on a leash. Blink, once you miss it, he'll drag you to the brink. Dirty, daddy green. Proud of what he steals. Smiles in your face. Signs, crooked deals. Every hallway. Every street. They're all in his pockets. Kissing his feet. Watch him. Don't even blink. He'll have your world gone faster than you think. He laughs while you think. Says it's all just business. As he pushes you to the brink. Dirty, 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 daddy. Dirty, daddy. Dirty, daddy. Pockets, 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 pockets. Dirty, daddy. Dirty, daddy. Pockets fat from grief. Plays a saint on Sunday. Wears the mask all week. Got the suits on a string. All the badges on a leash. Blink, once you miss it, he'll drag you to the brink. Dirty, daddy. Proud of what he steals. Smiles in your face. Signs, crooked deals. Every hallway. Every street. They're all in his pockets. Kissing his feet. Dirty, daddy green. Dirty, daddy green. Little man on the scene trying to sound real tough. Standing on a stool, still ain't tall enough. Reaching for the counter like daddy pick me up. Wants his lukewarm brew in his favorite sippy cup. Baby pain, stomp those socks. Tiny little sneakers, big boy talk. Puffs that chest, can't lift the lock. Bangs on the door till the hinges pop. Baby pain, just a little guy thinks he running the game. Baby pain, wants a big desk, can't spell his name. In charge of the case, I don't think so. Give him some toys and shut that door. All he wants is to feel that large, but I'm the one in charge. Yeah. Poor little guy ain't got one friend. Crying to his mama, why's it all gotta end? Why? Tears on the floor. Kicks his legs, then he's back for more. Fake mean mug with the jelly on his chin. Throws one punch, then he runs back in. Hides behind mom when the world swings back. Wants big boots, still rocking snags. Baby pay, just a little guy thinks he running the game. Baby pay, charge. Stomping up and down, red face, small frame. Tiny little storm trying to make it rain. Wah, 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 that's his war cry. Big boy dreams in a shirt size 5. Baby pay, baby pay. Just a little guy thinks he running the game. Baby pay, baby pay. Wants a big desk, can't spell his name. In charge of the case, I don't think so. Give him some toys and shut that door. All he wants is to feel that large, but I'm the one in charge. I'm the one in charge. Court's in session, the man takes the stand. Here comes Billy Boy strutting in to shake his hand. Yeah, crooked smile, little wink of the eye. Everybody looks away while the truth walks by. Courtroom corruption, day after day. Same sad movie, just a different face. No chance in hell to ever beat this game. Courtroom corruption, it always ends the same. Defense stand up, try to state their case. Hitler shuts them down like sit back in your place. Paperwork missing, deals under the table. Justice got a price tag, pay it if you're able. No truth, no reality, just scripts they rehearse. You speak up for yourself, they twist every word worse. Courtroom corruption, day after day. Same sad movie, just a different face. No chance in hell to ever beat this game. Courtroom corruption, it always ends the same. Sad ending to the day. Door slam, you just pray. Think you'll finally get a say. They already walked away. No answers, just the gavel. Just the lies that never fail. Every promise just unravels. Every honest voice for sale. Courtroom corruption, day after day. Same sad movie, just a different face. No chance in hell to ever beat this game. Courtroom corruption, it always ends the same. Court's in session, the man takes the stand. Here comes Billy Boy strutting in to shake his hand. Yeah, crooked smile, little wink of the eye. Everybody looks away while the truth walks by. Courtroom corruption, day after day. Same sad movie, just a different face. No chance in hell to ever beat this game. Courtroom corruption, it always ends the same.
All right. Welcome back to the cafe, guys. We are open for business. Great to see you guys all in the house today. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry it took so long to jump in here. I was messing with some stuff.
4 hours later.
But here we are, and that's what matters. So it's great to be back with you guys today. Got a couple new songs I'm going to be premiering for you guys to vote on per se. You like, you don't like, it is what it is. I'll probably run a couple of those while we're waiting for everybody to jump in after we do the intro. Today, guys, we're jumping back to Idaho as if we ever left, right? Yeah.
Oh shit, not good.
But then at that time, we're going to be looking into murders, motives, suspects, and corruption, as we always have been talking about with this case. Same stuff, different corner of the case, I guess we could say, as we break these things down one by one, little by little, day by day. Thank you guys for being here for it. Of course, I will throw a link up there for anybody who wants to join me and discuss this and break it down as we do. But please, once we get this rolling, once I get through the intro, guys, and we get loaded in, I got a couple of things I want your opinions on. So please and thank you. Stick around if you will. Thank you all for joining us. Share it out. Please hit the like button if you will. That being said, you know where we go next. Let's do it.
Neon lights flicker like broken halos. Whispers gather in the smoke-filled air. Tables carved with secrets and shadows. Every story's a wound laid bare. The kettle's boiling with a restless rage. Justice written on an unseen page. I sip the silence, bitter taste, waiting for the ghosts to show their face. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. Mirrors cracked, reflections are liars. Ashes fall where the guilty once stood. The jukebox hums like a funeral choir. Echoes pounding through the neighborhood. Every scar is a candlelit vow. We hug the how, we demand the now. No more silence, no more disguise. We'll paint the night with sharpened cry. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. This is not a sermon, it's a battlefield hymn, a requiem dripping from the bottle's rim. The guilty write stories in invisible ink, but we'll drag it all up from the edge of the break. At the True Crime Cafe, the reckoning burns like a black bouquet. Every shadow will pay.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Great to see you here today. Thank you for joining us, as always. Oh, I got my headphones flip-flopped. 1 second. All right. Sorry about that, guy. I couldn't hear things and this and that. Still not right. Anyway, welcome.
4 hours later.
Sorry, I keep making you guys wait for everything. All right. Bootsy, a member for 5 months. Very awesome. Come on in, guys. Grab a seat. Who we got joining us today? Bootsy, for sure. Congratulations. Happy day anniversary to you. We appreciate you being part of our family with the grandbaby. Hey. Miss Rowe, good to see you today. Cat K, welcome back to you. Moto Man's in the house. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Sylvia Hurley, welcome back to you guys. Please, if you will, do what Miss Rose says here. Down the rabbit hole to hell. Well, welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. Lisa Winchester, great to see you today. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here. Beach Babe, of course. Miss Jen 7 in the house. Sarah Inklabs from Texas. Welcome to you, dear. Wonderful to have you. Need to become a meatball. This is my most favorite true crime channel. Well, we appreciate you. And if you make sure you go down to the bottom of the channel, a little dollar sign there, and make sure you jump in there and you can receive gifts. There's a lot of generous people that come in here, so you very well likely will get a membership sooner than you think. So come on in and do that. Lexi S20, welcome back to you. Luther 75's in the house today. Great to see you, dear. Thank ya for joining us. Let me see. Bang, 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 bang. Love it. Randy Fur, my brother from another mother. Great to see you today. Let's see. Cynthia Rose RN, great to see you. Hemi's in the house. Welcome. Miss Becca, great to see you. Rebecca Seidner as well. The awesome and talented Miss Cat Farms in the house with us today. Super talented music creator, guys. She does all the stuff, a lot of the stuff over there at Devil's Advocates, the intro and some other songs. She put together some really great songs for the Delphi footage that Lee put out there, guys. Please. I hope he plays that again soon. That was awesome. Loved it. Karen Polkwas, good to see you. Right Turn Clyde's in the house. Eddie, One Made Nut in the house. Good to see you, Eddie. Thank you for joining us today, brother. My tone sounds weird. I wonder why.
Is that better? Nope.
Nope. Wrong one. How about no? Nope. Gotta go in the middle there. Okay, that's good. That is good. I think that's right. Okay. Great to see you back in the house. Eddie Bootsy again. Great to see you. Beverly Fike, wonderful to have you. Ice Empress, good to see you today. The Tomboys in the house, good to see you. Anna D, what's going on? It's snowing again. It was 75 degrees yesterday, folks, and it's just now started snowing again. I told SRB to keep it down there. Moonbreaker's in the house. What's up? Great to see ya. I want you guys to hear something here in a minute. As soon as I get through everybody, I love it. I'm excited. We all know our buddy, Mr. Payne, Mr. Brett Payne, the lead detective for the Idaho 4 case. Well, he did such a great job. I made a tribute to him. Just for him. Turkey Creek, good to see you. I'm frustrated. It happens all the time, Turkey Creek. Just make sure that you're subscribed and hit the notifier just to ensure that you do not haven't, they can't say anything. That's probably why I have them in the wrong years again. So that way you'll know for sure. Then when I say something to them, why is my community not getting their notifications? They can't say it was because of you guys. They just can't do it. So pain in our behinds. That's right, he is. Well, you guys should enjoy this then. All right, I think I got everybody. Looks like we got 76 peeps in the house today, guys. And 41 likes. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please make sure to hit the like button and share this out if you will. Please and thank ya. Luther. All of you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Come on in, grab a seat. We're going to wait just a little bit longer to make sure we get everybody in here. And again, while we're waiting, I'm going to play a couple tunes for you guys. And I want your honest opinion, as I always say. All right, let's see here. Hemi's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. All right, let's check this one out.
Little man on the scene trying to sound real tough. Standing on a stool, still ain't tall enough. Reaching for the counter like daddy pick me up. Wants his lukewarm brew in his favorite sippy cup. Baby pain, stomp those socks. Tiny little sneakers, big boy talk. Puffs that chest, can't lift the lock. Bangs on the door till the hinges pop. Baby pain, just a little guy thinks he running the game. Baby pain, wants a big desk, can't spell his name. In charge of the case, I don't think so. Give him some toys and shut that door. All he wants is to feel that large, but I'm the one in charge. Yeah. Poor little guy ain't got one friend. Crying to his mama, why's it all gotta end? Why? Tears on the floor. Kicks his legs, then he's back for more. Fake mean mug with the jelly on his chin. Throws one punch, then he runs back in. Hides behind mom when the world swings back. Wants big boots, still rocking snacks. Baby pay. Just a little guy thinks he running the game. Baby pay. Wants a big desk, can't spell his name. In charge of the case, I don't think so. Give him some toys and shut that door. All he wants is to feel that large, but I'm the one in charge. I'm the one in charge. Stomping up and down, red face, small frame. Tiny little storm trying to make it rain. Wah, that's his war cry. Big boy dreams in a shirt size 5. Baby pay. Just a little guy thinks he running the game. Baby pay. Wants a big desk, can't spell his name. In charge of the case, I don't think so. Give him some toys and shut that door. All he wants is to feel that large, but I'm the one in charge. I'm the one in charge.
There you go, guys. Baby pain. Hope you enjoyed it. That's for you, Brett. That's for you, Brett. We got 80 people in the house, guys. Come on in. Grab a seat. Get comfortable. Fill up your cup. Molly created those pictures of Baby Pain and Papa Dago out on the town, checking out all the white launchers, having dinner, and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Come on in, grab a seat. Let's see what we got going on. Motives, suspects, and corruption. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see what we got here. Thank you, Bootsy. Molly did a great job with those. The megastars in the house. Let's see. Thank you, Meg. 83 people in the house, guys. 50 likes. We're getting there. Make sure everybody's in here and we'll get this kicked off. Start looking through some stuff, reviewing, and of course, give you guys the opportunity to speak your mind as well. That link is pinned in the top of the chat. Somebody sent me some gifts. I don't see her in here yet, but Kawanda, thank you for the gifts. The coffee. Oh my God. She sent me coffee, guys. You know, I love coffee. And it's my favorite McDonald's coffee. So you cannot go wrong there. All right. All right. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. All the beautiful people in the house. Come on in. Grab a seat. Sausage biscuits. Nope. I hit the wrong button. Too loud there. Blew my eardrums out. Good to see you, Sausage. Let's see. I don't think I missed anybody over here. Please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it out, please. Tattoo Gal, good to see you. Miss Rowe, Cat K, all of you guys. Welcome, welcome. 89 people in the house, 52 likes. I guess it is moving up. Good stuff, guys. Cold. It is cold here again. It was 75 degrees. It was 75 degrees yesterday. It's literally, I just looked out the window and it's snowing again. I am so beyond tired of this damn weather. It's time for spring to get here and stay, at least for a while. Jesus. Oh, damn camera. Why does this keep getting moved? I had to put on a hoodie, guys. I don't ever sit here in hoodies. I'm always hot. T-shirts. I put on one of my, these are the best hoodies. The Carhartt hoodies. Carhartt brand. If you can see that, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, they make the best hoodies, I swear to God. I have like 5 of them. It was 70 in Louisville, Kentucky yesterday. Now it's got same here. Same here. It was 72 here yesterday. Was our high and it's snowing now. It was sleeting earlier. Sarah Ink Labs. I found this old video about E&D on another channel yesterday. It was really blew my mind. Didn't see many looking into them. I don't see many looking into them. Oh, I have looked into them. We did have some info on them early on when we first found out who they were, but there hasn't been much on them lately, so it's nothing new, you know. Yep, that's what happened here, Becca. Yep, yep. Boy says she wears a hoodie every day. Yep, and she lives in hell, so she wears hoodies in hell.
Oh shit, not good.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you. To anybody that chooses to support us this way, it is never ever expected, but always appreciated because it helps to keep us going day after day and keeps them bills paid. Oh my God. That looks so good. Ba-dum. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. It is truly Sarah. It is definitely not in a case that's on the up and up. That is. That's the wrong answer for sure. Hang on here. Okay. When you have streaming low iron and you never get warm, even I can't imagine it. I would die of I'd sweat to death. But I guess it makes sense with the low iron. Meanie's in the house. I know I complain about this every live, but YouTube has my subscription page all effed up, and I never know when people are live anymore. It's really irritating. It is, I know. It is. You have to check it all the time. Their notification thing is a mess. They don't do what they're supposed to do. It's sad. It's Betty sad. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, guys. Go grab a seat. You can buy a Keurig cup thingy for ground cup. Yeah, I have one. I have two little plastic cups my daughter gave me, and I can get like pre-ground coffee and put it in there as well. So yeah, actually, I think we have three of them. Two of them are purple, one of them is black, and just like they look just like a K cap. They have a K cup. They have a little lid on it. You just put the scoops of coffee in, close the lid, pop it in, and it works the same way as a K cup. Yes, I got a couple. Oh damn. Oh, that's sad, Meanie. I'm sorry you got to go through that. Welcome, Hemi. That's fine with me, Hemi. No worries, bud. How much does the Dago drink a day? How about I give you guys a poll while we're waiting? Let's see what we can do here. And there we go. Sylvia, good to see you. La, 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 la. So the poll is, how much coffee does Dago drink a day? Not daily. Daily. I gave you guys four choices: 2, 4, 8, or 10 cups. And if you get in between it, that's okay. You'll get close to it. We'll know. I give you guys a chance to choose, and the poll is off just because it's a poll. We will see what you think. What's going on with this thing? Here it is. All right. Guile, welcome. Sweet Melissa, welcome. Make sure you're voting on that poll there. I won't run no more polls ever again.
Oh shit, not good.
I do go to the bathroom a lot. It's our bees in the house. Living Dead Girl, good to see you. And it does vary from day to day, but on a standard, I wish I could get. I'm going to try that protein coffee. Or somebody told me to try mushroom coffee, and I don't know if I can handle that, but come cheer. I've never even heard of that one. Or cometeer. I'll write that down and look into it. But I do want to thank Kawanda for the gift she sent me. She sent me the McDonald's coffee, which is my favorite. Batteries and other stuff. I love it. Appreciate it. So very generous and very, very sweet of you. Michelle F. Welcome. Good to see you. What did you say? SRB? Kind of poll are we? Moto Man wants to know what kind of poll are we on, Meg? Jeez. Look at them sense of humors in here. That was kind of funny, bro. Grown. Colombian. I like the McDonald's premium roast. That's just perfect. Carolyn Prestage, good to see you. It's been a minute. Edward. Eddie. The poll won't let you go down past 2 cups. No, it did because I'll tell you right now, I have more than 2 cups a day, Melissa. So you're good. My kids drink that Death Wish coffee or whatever the hell it's called, Death by Coffee or something like that. I can't. That's too strong for me. It makes me sick. Come on in. Grab a seat. He has 2 before. And she's about right, guys. That was funny, SRB. You missed a new one. Bariqua, good to see you. You missed a new song I put together, SRB. I'll have to let you hear it later. It's called Baby Pain. I can send you a 50% off coupon for your first order. If I got your email, I've been a member for like a year and a half. They just sent me a coupon. Cool. Coupons and money saving is always good. Had it out with my doctor's office today. You're late on your payment. Uh-huh. So they love me as long as they're getting their money until I miss a payment to the doctor. Then all of a sudden, I'm a bad person. You know how that goes. So frustrating. Oh, did you hear it, SRB? Good. Good. I wrote one about Hitler, too. 2 of them, actually. You got to vent our frustration somehow. All right, let's see where we're at with this thing. How many votes do we have on here? 49 votes. One more. One more vote. And I'll end it. Come on now.
Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up.
Give me one more. One more vote.
One more.
No, they're not at all, Guile. They just want money. All right, we got 50 votes. Good deal. Let's see what we got in here. How much coffee does Dago drink daily? I got 50% said 8 cups. 32 said 10 cups. 18% said 4 cups, and 0 said 2. You guys know me that way. So I drink between probably 8 and 10 cups at a day, but that's a cup. It's not a pot. It's just 1 cup. This. And that's throughout the whole day. And depending on the mood I'm in and what I'm doing in here and how much I'm doing. So we'll go with 9 in between it. So you 8 to 10ers, you got it pretty much on point. It just depends on what's going on. And if it's cold. Excuse me. You're okay, SRB. What's the baseboard moto, man? He was like, really? Yeah, 8 to 10, depending on the mood. Half a cup, really? Damn. Stephen Fillmore, good to see you. I do. Guys, back in the day when I was with the party department, I used to drink like, before I realized how bad it was for you. If I was younger, then I didn't care. Um, Probably 3 to 4 2 liters of Mountain Dew a day is what and then coffee in the morning and stuff too. That's what I lived on. So yeah, I probably do have a very high tolerance to caffeine because I drink. Plus, I'm ADHD. Remember that. It kind of makes me normal. Um, I drink coffee all the way up to. I could be up till midnight, and I'll drink a cup of coffee before I go to sleep, and I can go in there and pass out like nothing. So, oh no, I don't do the espresso cat form. That's too much. Um, I used to drink that a lot, but it's just regular premium roast, medium roast coffee. It is. It is. Coffee's way better than like Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, or any of that stuff. Plus, there's a lot of sugar in that other stuff. I don't put sugar in it. Yeah, caffeine puts me to sleep too inside your bones. Crazy. Soon I'll drink a cup and I'm out immediately. It's again, it's the ADHD thing. I think. Sparkly, good to see you. Drank 2 pots a day when I was in my 30s and ended up in the ER with yeah, you can do that, believe it or not. I back down when I start to feel like I've had too much, though. That McCafe cup looks like 2-ish regular cups. The other cup, big one too, the standard cup. Sounds like, so, yeah, right. Uh, it happens. Right. I got you, Steven. I'm so tired because I don't sleep right. I could sleep at any time. 120 of you guys in here, 69 likes. We're catching up for sure. Thank you guys for joining us today. Very much appreciate you. But I'm a mom. Good to see you. It definitely does. That's a fact. That's the only coffee that I like black, to be honest with you. Other than that, it's got cream in it. That's truth. Truth. Just when I don't have coffee, it's just such a bad day. Such a bad day. They do it. I don't know. The rest of their food is garbage. Okay, McDonald's, their food's garbage. But for whatever reason, their coffee has just the right roast to it. I love it. Got a great flavor, so I really do like it. I have heard if you buy one thing organic, it should be coffee. Coffee contains more pesticides than anything. Yeah, that's true. I've heard that as well. Let's see here. Come on, come on, come on. I finally added all of some of the sound effects to my soundboard. So of course, I got to play with it when I can. Margaret, welcome. I mean, to some extreme, yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Their breakfast stuff, I do like their breakfast foods, but the rest of their stuff tears my stomach up. My wife likes their iced coffee too, Kat. Cynthia Rose, good to see you. Yeah, Mama Bear has narcolepsy. She has that problem. She can fall asleep standing up if she doesn't take her medication. It's wild. McDonald's $2. I've never had this before. I've heard about it many a times, but never had it. I've had that Barriqua. It's good. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, they're other than their breakfast food, it just I don't think it's very good. So I stay away from it for the most part unless we have to. I used to love their fries. Their fries. Becky. Great to see you. Lisa Otten, welcome to you. Dutch Brothers. Yeah, Tomboy likes Dutch Brothers. I've never had it. I have two of their sweaters that I'm gonna give away one of these days, but I don't have never had the coffee. Come on in, grab a seat. Looks like Pavarotti put something out that was thrown at me to look at. Interesting. I don't know if you guys followed it or not, but it's interesting. Pretty Sonic. I've never got to have Sonic. I've always wanted it. Yeah, it looks like he put out something. Um, sorry, I got distracted for a second. Uh, in regards to motive and stuff too. I like to check out his stuff all the time. Sorry, guys. Am I still frozen?
Oh shit, not good.
Am I frozen? There we go. Okay. Come on in and grab a sheet. Yep. Hey, Claire, good to see ya. Now I'm getting warm. See? I hate this weather. I've always wanted to try that. Never had In-N-Out Burger. I want to try Whataburger too. I want my $2. I remember that movie. John Cusack and Better Off Dead. I love those movies. Thank you, Meg. Guys, you guys got to check out the merch store if you guys want to pick up a True Crime Cafe t-shirt and uh um t-shirt, a pretty much t-shirt or hoodie. Let's see. What else we got? We got coffee mugs, hats, beanies. We got baby clothes, all sorts of stuff in there. Mats for your animals. If you guys want it, go check it out. There's that link. Thank you, Meg, for that. Never heard that before either, Moto. The winter is definitely rubbish. Yes, I want my $2. I'm gonna have to add that as a sound effect if I can find it. That's funny. Welcome, Miss Paula. Good to see you today. Come on in, guys. We're about to get started here. Not yet, Meg. Not yet. I haven't loaded it yet. All right, guys. Can you guys hear me? Welcome, Blue Eye Butterfly. Homeboy says, Dago, the pop audio makes sense. Don't think about who, just the how many realistically. And that's what we're probably going to review that today because of that. It's not about who, it's about how many and it's the other little details in it. It's interesting. So yeah, we're going to review that and check it out. No, I said tomboy. Hope I didn't say homeboy. Tomboy. What's up, homeboy? Charm. See if it $2. What's going on, Michelle? Oh my god. I hope he's okay, Michelle. That's horrible. Ugh. So sorry to hear that, hon. Hopefully he gets better. Let's see what we got here, guys.
4 weeks. 20 papers, that's $2 plus tip.
Gee, Johnny, I don't have a dime. Sorry.
Didn't ask for a dime. $2.
Well, it's funny. See, my mom had to leave early to take my brother to school and my dad to work because...
$2.
There you go, guys. Don't float away. Try not to do that, Sluther. We like you here. Sausage says, I'm convinced there were two people that rushed into Xana's room. One ambushed Ethan on the bed and one trapped Anna. Oh, there's definitely more than one person, Sausage. I agree with you on that one. All right. Well, I guess we could probably start off with that, actually. It's a great movie, isn't it, Kat? I like all the older John Cusack 80s movies. $9.99. My daughter was like, "What the hell are you talking?" Oh my god, that's all. That's crazy, Michelle. You've been over here with us too much, huh? That's wild. Wait
4 weeks. 20 papers, that's $2 plus tip.
Gee, Johnny, I don't have a dime. Sorry.
Didn't ask for a dime. $2.
Well, it's funny. See, my mom had to leave early to take my brother to school and my dad to work because
$2. 4.
Gotta love it. You're still in Meg's still in frozen shock syndrome. We announced last night over at Devil's Advocates that we closed out the Princess Diana series, and we're going to be starting a new series this coming Sunday. We're going to be looking into who killed Bernie. That's all there is. Who killed Bernie? And we were explaining to her that there was a Weekend at Bernie's 2. 1 and 2, we saw them. And she was like, "There's a Weekend at Bernie's 2? What?" Of course there is, Meg. How have you never seen it? I've seen it like 300 times. She had no idea it existed. I was like, wow. So we're going to be trying to figure out who killed Bernie. That's our next case. Weekend at Bernie's phenomenon, Mom. Never heard of it. You know, Bernie, the guy with the sunglasses that they carry around and when he's dead for the whole weekend. Yes, we're going to figure out who killed Bernie. We'll see what happens. No, actually, guys, in all truthfulness, we're going to be moving on to covering the JonBenet Ramsey case. We're going to dig into that and see if we can come out with that. President Biden. Oh, yeah. There you go. Phenomenal, Mom. Haven't seen Weekend at Bernie's Optical Delusions. Wow. Unbelievable. Some of the stuff you guys haven't seen blows my mind. Miss Kim's in the house. By the way, I sent you a link, Kim, if you want it. If you're too busy, understood. But if you want it, you're welcome. Let's see. All right, guys, let's get this thing kicked off here. And we're going to review this video. And it explains some part of the motive theory thing we were talking about. Just bear with it. I know not everybody's a fan of Pavarotti. Okay, but I do respect the work he does, and I like to listen to and talk about some of the things that he points out. Not everything I agree with. I'm sure not everything I talk about he agrees with, but I just want to review this with you guys and get your feelings and thoughts on this. That's all I'm saying. And if you think about it, it's not about, like Tomboy said, it's not about who. It's about the motive through targets, basically, in a sense, okay? And I want your guys' feelings on this. Weekend at Bernie's one. Oh, yeah, part 2 wasn't as good as 1. They never are, but it was still pretty decent. Interesting. Biscuits. I'm here now, Sparkly. You don't see me? Hello? Can you guys see and hear me okay? Right, Sausage. I agree. He puts a lot of work in, too, so. Like I said, for those of you that are not big fans, just bear with me because once we get through the point that he makes, we're going to talk about that point, break it down on our side of things based on what he said. So just curious, it's just curiosity. We don't have a lot of other stuff to tear apart. So reviewing and breaking down different theories and opinions is always a good thing. So yeah, I agree with you on that, Cynthia. Okay, thank you, buddy. Glad you're here today, Eddie. You just hear music. Are you delayed, Sparkly? Try hitting the refresh button at the top, see if it catches you up. Amethyst in the house. Good to see ya. Gen Xers, we saw it. There you go, Amethyst. Where is Dago? You guys not seeing me, huh? No sounds. This is so weird. Can you guys see me now? You might have to go out and come back in, guys. Those of you that are having trouble seeing me, you might have to go out and come back in. I'm sorry about that. And try to hit the refresh. Anyway, let's jump into this real quick here. And thank you, Paul, for putting this out. 1 minute. Okay, I see it, SRB. Okay, no problem, guys. Thank you, Tomboy. Okay, let's check this out.
It was an isolated and targeted incident.
And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack.
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information.
Authorities now saying an edged weapon, such as a knife, was used in the homicide over the weekend. They believe it was an isolated and targeted incident. The deadly attack happening in the apartment shared by the three women, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, and Xana Kernodle, who was also with her longtime boyfriend, Ethan Chapin. It was an isolated and targeted incident.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Listen to Pavarotti. Can I be your superhero?
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I am your host, Pavarotti, and I'm here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. And in this episode, I'm going to change focus just a little bit, and we're going to try to do our best to zero in on motive, because the motive in the case is something the state has never claimed to have. And I think the motive goes a long way to put us in the right direction of who actually committed this crime. Now that I've done all of the crime scene breakdown of all the evidence in the crime, and let me tell you, I was really hoping that I could prove that crime happened with the evidence with two perpetrators, because that would sure narrow down the list. Couldn't do it though. And then I was hoping, I tried. I've logicked out every piece of evidence in that house, the time frame it took to commit the crime, and I was hoping I could do it with 3. And I couldn't do it. I mean, the last thing I wanted was 4, because that's a lot of people to try to narrow down to hold responsible for this crime. But there's no way, ever which way that I broke it down. I did it 10 ways to Sunday. It took 4 perpetrators, in my humble opinion, to accomplish this crime. What's got everybody so messed up on it is the speed in which this crime was actually done. And the reason that it messes people up is because they think of it in the perspective of, it's Bryan Kohberger that did it. There's no way Bryan Kohberger could have done this crime in a couple of minutes. You're right. There's no way. Now we know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, though, there was multiple perpetrators. So when you think about the time it took to commit this crime, and then you multiply the perpetrators exponentially by 4, well, then it takes the time needed to commit the crime down exponentially. It took a couple of minutes, in my humble opinion, and all the evidence says that. So with that being said, Now that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt in my mind from the physical evidence of the crime that this is a likely 4-perp crime, they did it in a matter of minutes.
And I'm just going to tell everybody on my side of things, I've always thought this was between 3 to 4 people, most likely 4. So I agree with him on this. And that was based on what information we received in the beginning. Of course, WSU Kim came forth and said she believed there was possibly 3 people inside, 2 outside, or 3 inside, 1 outside, vice versa. But there was at least 3 to 4 people, maybe even more, involved in this. And I've always thought that at the minimum, very, very minimum 3, max 5, right in there to 3 to 4 is my opinion. So that's always been my theory and opinion on this. No matter how it went down, that's what I've always thought. So I do respect and appreciate Pob's thoughts on that and agree with him clearly.
This is no doubt, in my opinion, a hit. This is a planned hit. They went in and planned to do this. So for us to determine who was the most likely people to commit this hit, what was their motive? The motive.
You're good, Claire. I understood. I thought what you meant anyway. So it's all.
It has to be explained. I mean, there's never going to be a crime where you have multiple perpetrators, and we now have proof of multiple perpetrators through the crime scene evidence, through the fact that there was another male's blood on the back of the knife sheath in blood, a bloody fingerprint at the rear sliding door, unknown male B on the handrail in blood, an unknown male on the glove outside in blood. There's too much evidence that there was multiple perpetrators. Now that we know there's multiple perpetrators, there's never been a crime with multiple perpetrators that wasn't a conspiracy.
And yeah, that in my opinion is just basic logic, folks. Common sense and logic. Looking at the situation, knowing that Xana and Ethan were killed simultaneously. This is just it's common sense to me, and it's all based on logical explanation. So yes, I fully agree with that. Can you turn the camera on for like 3 seconds, Moto? Just 3 seconds. You never been up here before, I don't think, and I trust you, but I want to make sure somebody's not trying to use you. If you can't do it, then I'll just pull the camera down the other way, and I'll pull you up anyway. Never had you up here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hold on, everybody. Let me try something. Can you hear me? Are you there? It says device is not connected, bro.
Give me 2 secs.
There you go. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just trying to fix the echo.
Okay, and you don't need to worry about your camera. I got you. Take your time, buddy. Great to have him joining us for a change. Different. Love to have you guys up here. Always love your insight, feelings, thoughts, opinions, all of it. Thank you a lot, Optical. All right. Let's see. Just give it a second, guys. All right. And I'll let him do his thing. I'll go ahead and let this play a little bit. I got to grab coffee anyway. So as soon as he's ready to talk, I'll pause it when he's done.
Because once you add 2, then you have conspiring taking place. 2 people or more people do not conspire to commit a crime without a motive. So that's got to be explained now. So what we're going to do in this one is I want to go through and see if I can't help pulling us in the right direction on who we should be looking for this crime. What was the motive? What was the most likely motive? To do that, we've got to determine who were the targets. Who were the most likely targets? I know a lot of people after, well, Ethan was a target. Okay, well, we're going to logic this thing out, and I'm going to show you why I think Ethan was the last one to be a target in this case, but also who the likely targets are based on all the evidence, and I'll ask for your opinions along the way. So let's jump right into it.
It was an isolated and targeted incident.
So we know from the earliest reporting that law enforcement believed this to be an isolated and targeted incident. Why did they think that? just using what we know now from the crime scene evidence, we have a house that has 6 bedrooms. In this house, in these 6 bedrooms, one was empty. One had a surviving roommate. The other one had a surviving roommate. The other one had a victim in it. The other one had 2 victims in it. And then we have this other victim that we know was attacked in the living room and brought back up to this room. It doesn't take rocket scientists to figure out why they thought this was a targeted attack. They were targeting 2 rooms in the house. And then when you go to the residence of those 2 rooms and you find out it was Maddie and Xana, it's not too hard to figure out who the targets actually were, in my humble opinion. But we're going to reason this out, because I hear people say things all the time like, well, criminals, hardcore criminals that were committing a hit would not leave witnesses. Well, let me ask you this. The only witness that we know possibly had seen somebody without a mask on would be Kaylee when she went up to the room and seen the guy that was attacking Maddie. So if she's seen the person that was attacking Maddie and they didn't have a face covering on, well, then that would be a witness that's seen a face. That would be a witness you would need to eliminate. However, if you have a witness that seen a guy wearing a mask, he knows he's wearing a mask, he doesn't believe she can identify him, then I believe after committing the crime that they came there to commit, that they actually would not take the time to eliminate that witness. They would actually get out of there, because that would be their goal, ask any criminal. But when you reverse logic that, and you say, well, if this was, say, people that they knew, well, if a witness sees you and you know that she knows you, that would be somebody that you wouldn't want to leave alive, wouldn't you think? Because, I mean, we've just eliminated 4 other people in the house. Now, if you have a witness that sees you and you're, say, a college kid that has the guts to go in and eliminate.
Unless she's involved in it. I agree with that too. Can you hear me yet, Moto?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. You sound great. Good stuff. Good stuff. What is going on, brother?
Not too much, Dago. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate you joining us up here. First time. Great to have you here. Have you seen this yet by chance or no?
I don't think I've seen this particular video.
Okay, good. You can help me break it down once we get through it. It's not very long. So it's based on motive, things like that. And it's interesting. And I kind of want to discuss it and break it down. So I'm glad you're joining me. I appreciate you very much. If you can hang loose. All right, let's move this forward.
4 people with a knife and your friend sees you, would you leave that friend alive just to have them identify you later? I don't think so. I think the least logical thing would be somebody that knew that she seen them and she knew them would leave her alive. But I believe a criminal that when she sees them and he's got a mask over his face, he doesn't think she can identify him because she doesn't know him, then they're going to get out of there and they're not going to harm her. Now, they probably would have left a message like call 911 and this will happen to you as well. And maybe she just left that out of her statements. I don't know. But I do know this. The locations of the victims in the house in accordance to their bedrooms, I believe is the most logical way to go through and determine who the actual targets were in the house. Now, if you agree with me on that, please put a 1 in the comments. If you disagree, put a 2. I would really like to know. But that's one thing to look at as far as the targets in the house. Now, some people will suggest that Ethan was the target. And here is one of the reasons I would suggest that Ethan was the last person to be a target. Because if Ethan was the target, then that means that they went in and unalived Maddie and Kaylee for no reason, just to get to Ethan. And when you hear Steve G say they didn't have to go upstairs, I believe that eliminates Ethan as being a target, because they didn't have to go upstairs. If they were targeting Ethan, they would have got the job done and then left. Why would they go upstairs and harm Kaylee and Maddie and then leave Dylan and Bethany unharmed? It doesn't make any sense. And if Ethan was the target and this was a frat boy thing, we know that Ethan and Xana was at the frat house earlier in the evening. If Ethan was the target and it's a frat boy thing, wouldn't the likely thing have been just to unalive Ethan at the frat house and not?
And see, this is where I might slightly disagree with him. I feel that if it was because of the fraternity, that it started there and was ended at the 1122 house. This is my opinion. But again, in all due respect, I just disagree with that part.
I'd have to go to the house and unalive Kaylee and Maddie. Or we know Ethan has an apartment over here. Wouldn't it have been better just to wait for Ethan to go to his apartment and unalive him versus having to go to the house and unalive Kaylee and Maddie as well? See, it takes the whole logic around frat boys wanting Ethan to be the target completely out the window.
I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that.
And see, I want that to be clarified, what he just said. And the way the reporter, I can't think of his name, verifies this. He didn't say their wounds didn't match. He didn't say the injuries didn't match. He said their means of death didn't match. And then the reporter verifies by saying the cause of death didn't match. What it was that actually killed them, and this is how I'm taking this. I'm hoping that's what it means, but the cause of death that didn't match between the two girls, meaning one died from one thing, one died from another thing. Welcome, JC. Good to see you. And this was early on, very early on when they did this interview. So I got to wonder. Okay. Got to wonder. Because I think early on we took this as they had different injuries, different weapons, different types of attacks, whatever. You can take it for what it is. I think that was thought about as that. Welcome, Eddie. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Moto Man.
Good to see you.
I think that's how that was taken in the beginning. And if you think about it, I mean, it still could be taken that way, but when I listened to it again, I kind of broke it down in my head and said, maybe that's what that means instead. Who knows? I could be wrong. It is what it is, but we'll find out here. I'm going to let some more of this roll, but I wanted to make that as we went through, I wanted to stop and tell you the points that I thought were important. The firecracker, Kim says, of course.
One of them.
He doesn't have to go up the steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an outfit. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just going to say it. Wasn't leaked.
And so now here he says their points of damage don't match. But in the beginning, he says their cause of death is different. Is it both? Is it one? Is it the other? This is why I'm pointing these out like this. Just remember these things. Sorry to interrupt.
To me, I earned that. I paid for that funeral.
Now, we know that interview that Steve G did with Fox News way back in the beginning really threw us all for a loop because he made two different statements. One, they didn't have to go upstairs, which I believe is him letting everybody know they didn't have to go upstairs. So one of the victims upstairs was a target. But also the wounds don't match on the victims. Now that one, I don't know that he would have even known the importance of at the time. But when he says the wounds don't match on the victims, there's only one victim that the wounds don't match on, and that is Kaylee, because Kaylee had blunt force injuries along with the stab wounds. And when you think about it, Maddie did not have blunt force injuries, but neither did Xana or Ethan. So if you have two perpetrators, like the defense expert says, that attacks Maddie and Kaylee with separate weapons, one blunt force, one with a knife, and then you have Ethan and Xana.
Diego, can I say something?
Absolutely, bro. Let me turn you down just a tinge first. Oh, you're muted. Unmute yourself there, Moto.
All right. So what I'm getting out of this is they had blunt force trauma. It was showing that Kaylee was attacked downstairs. If Kaylee was attacked downstairs, was the blunt force trauma because she was dragged up the stairs and then placed on the bed?
It tells us.
Bingo. You hit the point that I was hoping one of you guys were going to get. They didn't have to go upstairs. We all wondered what the hell that went. Thank you, Moto, for hitting that point. They didn't have to go upstairs. And now, we all know now that there was blood found on floor number 2 on the table from Kaylee. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they did it there? Or because that's how, now that we know what we know, that's kind of what my point is. Very interesting point. Very interesting. And thank you, Moto. Like, truly and honestly. Right there. Eddie, any thoughts before we go forward on that? And you can keep going, Moto, if you have more to say.
Yeah, I'll add something unless
Go
Moto
for it,
wants to continue.
Awesome.
No, I'm
having
good.
you.
Go ahead.
Great point, by the way, Moto. Thank you. And it's great to have you both up here. I missed you, Eddie. Great to have you back, bud.
It is a bit of a rabbit hole to try to understand he didn't have to go upstairs because, as we established in the past, they use the actors, so to speak, the surviving family members, as the conduit to get the disinformation out there.
Absolutely.
I think along the way, some information that they shared with Steve was money in the bank. They got a lot of mileage with that disinformation, and I think some was like a misstep too. I mean, how do you know unless you run the experiment and see how it goes sometimes?
Right.
So,
right.
Example, like it was a targeted attack. Well, that's a double-edged sword. If you say it's a targeted attack, well then the purpose of that is to set the community at ease. But that comes with its own set of problems. Well, then that means you know about the crime. You understand who did it or what the motive was or something. So they walked it back. Anyway, I'm going on at length about trying to understand what Steve is saying there, and we might be chasing something that has no meaning too.
Understood. And I do want to throw in there, and that's a very good point, Eddie. I do want to throw in here. I don't think Steve, and this is just my opinion, it doesn't mean it's true, guys. I don't think Steve had been, let me think of the right word to put into this. I don't think he had been flipped, I guess we could say, at this point yet. Okay. Eddie's right. They used him for a tool through this whole thing. Okay. But I don't think he was too far into that at this point yet. I know that at some point we watched them dramatic change, as Eddie, I know you'll agree with that. We've talked about this before. A dramatic change in this guy where he started to absolutely fully defend Xana and, I'm sorry, not Xana, Dylan and Bethany, and so on and so forth, as compared to the way he was in the very beginning. There was something that happened. We've talked about this before, but I think at this point it was still kind of early for them, and they hadn't been completely put into that mode yet. And that's just, again, my opinion. I think it was starting, but not full throttle at that point. So anyway.
Yeah, I think the going upstairs is just a riddle.
Okay.
Yeah, and I agree. At this point, I think he was still, desperate to get answers. And of course, people's tendency is to believe anything law enforcement and the state, the prosecution, investigators share with you. I mean, you cling to that information as gold.
Right. And it could be. You could be right. It could have been a riddle. It could have truly meant something. It could have meant something that he didn't even understand. It could have meant something completely different than we think it did. It could be any of those things. But yes, very possible on both sides.
Well, last point. He's still talking about, the ones who didn't have to go upstairs in the singular. It's always been the lone perpetrator in the state's eyes, right?
Right.
So notice that add that to the equation. They know that that's not true, so they're giving him that too. So the fact that all along the state has betrayed the public as far as their honesty in this case, I mean, we can cite numerous examples of the lying that's been going on.
Of course.
Why do we believe what Steve has to say here when he's not imagining this? He's getting this information from the state.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I know what you're saying. This early on, it had to come from somewhere because he had no clue there was no way for him to get any information any other way. So,
right.
At this point in the investigation, Steve was still confused about what to believe from the police. He mentioned, like, if you listen to the same interview, he mentions they when he first starts talking about the incident, and then he switches it to he halfway through the interview. So
good catch. Yeah, they and then he, right. And he still does that, though. You guys notice that, like, the most recent interview when he's talking about something with in the house, and he knows in his mind, at least he thinks he does, that Bryan did this, and he still says they. So, what are you thinking here, boss? You know what I mean? That's my opinion. It's so confusing. Welcome, Angel D. Good to see you. Good points, both you guys. Really appreciate you both again. On week. Anything else anybody's adding or?
Yeah, I'll just add, and this isn't even the
Go
part
ahead.
of the video that we need to get hung up on. This isn't
right.
You know, we need to focus on this. So, yeah, we got to get into the
there's
say,
a much
the meat
more
and potatoes.
important. Yeah, much more important. I just like to point things out when I hear them and see them. That way you guys understand. There's a couple things in this that I thought were kind of important, but yeah, the good part's coming up. I promise. What's up, Senior? Good to see you. Brian Todd, good to see you as well.
That those are 4 different perpetrators attacking 2 different victims in 2 different areas in the house. But why don't the wounds match on Kaylee and Maddie? And now we know. Because Kaylee was likely in the living room running from an attacker when her blunt force happened. So it wasn't like 2 people went in a room and Maddie and Kaylee were asleep in the bed like we were told, and then one person was attacking them both with different weapons. It wasn't even that. The reason that Kaylee has different types of injuries is because now that we've seen the evidence, Kaylee was attacked in the living room likely with different injuries. Now that we have the correct sequence of the crime scene, we now know the wounds don't match due to Kaylee's attack in the living room. But also the fact that Kaylee was attacked with blunt force, but Maddie, Ethan, nor Xana was, indicates at a minimum there were 3 assailants. I say the evidence proves 4. But that's why the attacks, the point of attacks, the differences in the attacks don't match. They were attacked in the bedroom. She was attacked in the bedroom. She had to be handled running away from a perp in the living room. And that's why a different wound pattern is found and different force was found on Kaylee, in my humble opinion. If you agree, put a 1 in the comments. If you disagree, put a 2. But then we have the most telling evidence in the entire case on who the targets really were, and it just came out. And when we go through the state's case, we can see that they had timing advance reports for all the victims. They had timing advance reports apparently for everybody in the case except Bryan Kohberger, according to the state. T-Mobile right here tells you.
And I do need to point this out. This is right here proof, in my opinion, folks, that they lied about having Bryan's timing advance data, period. Okay? There's no way that they have everybody else's except for his. I'm sorry. I won't ever believe it. I don't care if it's different phone companies or not. It doesn't make any sense. It's a blatant lie, in my opinion. Again, I'm adding my opinion to it. Nobody has to agree, but I'm just saying they have everybody else's, like he's just saying, except for Bryan's. Miss me. That's bullshit. I'm sorry.
That the people that had the T-Mobile had timing advance records for them. It's right here in the state's exhibit list for their self-authenticating records. Timing advance for people with T-Mobile. They had timing advance for the Verizon folks. But we know this now.
Say this information can help maybe shed some light into the timeline of the attack, the intention of this. The injuries sustained by all 4 were awful. But the injuries sustained by Kaylee and Maddie and where they were positioned and how many injuries they sustained to their face and neck, does this give you an indication that Bryan Kohberger was targeting them specifically?
No, I think there's some timing advance records that kind of lead me to believe that it was another person that they were looking for. I mean, Matt might have been part of that, but there was 2 individuals. There's some timing advance records that kind of lead me to believe that it was another person that they were looking for. I mean, Matt might have been part of that, but there was 2 individuals.
So what he's pointing out here, folks, and we've talked this before, is that, in my opinion, of course, Xana and Maddie were the targets. Um, unless he's referring to Ethan, but I think Xana and Maddie is what they're saying the targets were at that point. But there again, grain of salt. That's all I'm saying.
So when Steve G comes out and says, nope, there were two targets, and I now know who they really were based off of the new evidence that was released as it relates to the timing advance records. And we know the new evidence that was just released right before this interview was this. The timing advance records, where they're talking about the AT&T records for Kohberger, not his timing advance, but the timing advance records for Maddie and Xana. This is what came out the day before that interview. This is what Steve G is referring to. So even the father in the case now admits the two targets in the house was what we always thought, based on just critical thinking of the layout of the house and who was attacked. The two targets were Maddie and Xana, according to Mr. G. Same two targets we've always known. And when you figure out who the targets were, well, then that should help you figure out what the motive was as well. Now, when we look at the two targets and we're trying to determine the motive, a lot of people want to go to the frats. The frats did it. I will just say this, though. If we're being honest, and we've actually read the police reports and all the documents in the case, the police interviewed, whether you appreciate.
No. I don't mean take what he's saying with a grain of salt. I meant the thing about Ethan. What I said, what me personally, Tomboy, not him.
The way they interviewed them or not, they interviewed every single person that was close to these victims. I've read every single interview. Not one, and I mean not one, said that any of the four victims had any enemies that they knew of that would like to hurt them for any reason. When you interview that many people and not one says that they know of anybody that's upset with these victims, then you have to take a step back if you're doing a proper investigation and go, well, I guess nobody close to them had any reasons to want to harm them. But also, I've seen, over and over and over, the law enforcement asked the people close to them, were they involved in narcotics? Did they sell narcotics? The most they could get was every now and again, a couple of them may have dabbled in a little bit here and there at a party. Not one person ever said that they may have been dealing in narcotics. If you interview everybody close to the victims and not one person says anything about somebody's mad at them and want to hurt them, or not one person says anything about them having any knowledge of them dealing in anything, then guess what? You've got to eliminate their dealing and somebody wanting to hurt them that they knew from the investigation, because you don't have anything that would lead you to believe that based off of every interview in the case. So that has to be eliminated, in my humble opinion. Let me know if you agree or not. Which takes us down two roads. The first road is what the state says. The state says that there is no motive. This was a random crime committed by one individual. We now know that there are multiple perpetrators in the crime because of the blood on the handrail, because of the blood on the back of the knife, because of the blood on the glove out in the parking lot, because of the bloody fingerprint on the rear sliding door, and because it's impossible for Bryan Kohberger to have done this on his own based on the physical evidence and all of the video surveillance and everything else that we have. So the state's case is obviously incorrect, which leaves me down one path, the path that nobody out there, for some reason, except for me, True Crime Design, and a couple of other creators that really have some guts, that has dove in to the most likely scenario of why these two were the targets. And that goes to the families of the victims. And then when you start to investigate the dealings of the families of the victims, guess what you find? The two likely targets, they're parents of both of them. are involved in a criminal underworld. They had charges that came due right around the time of the crime, and their charges were reduced to nothing, basically. There is your motive, in my opinion, and then you just have to figure out who carried out that motive. Now, let me know if you agree in the comments below with a 1 or a 2 if you disagree, 1 if you agree. I believe following the most likely path of this, and then you add in all the other elements that we already know, it becomes a foregone conclusion, in my humble opinion. But we can still believe the state's right or the frat people are right if we want to. But if we do, I believe we're following fairy tale land.
All right, gentlemen, and everyone else. So, I want your guys' opinions before I say anything, if possible, on what we just saw.
I think he makes a pretty strong case.
I agree. I agree. It does make a lot of sense, truly. I have a couple other thoughts, like I said, but that I think is very interesting. It does make a whole lot of sense, folks. It does. Go ahead, Eddie.
First of all, I think we all need to at least, I guess, be agreeable to the fact that there's more than one perpetrator. I mean, everyone's on that same sheet of music by this point, right?
Yeah, I think most of us are at the very minimum, more than one, at minimum two. I think between 3 to 4, 4 being probably the most reliable. That's why I agreed with that pretty highly. So,
I mean, that's where this conversation starts. That's the foundation. You have to at least be there. Otherwise, you're not in the right mindset. So hopefully everyone is there.
I think most everybody in this community kind of believes truly that there was at least multiple people attacking it, because it's just not. It's not plausible to be able to do this without multiple perpetrators 100%. So this is, again, an opinion I'm saying, but I feel strongly about it.
Yeah. And if you're not there, then maybe you're just not following all this new, forensic evidence that is out close enough. Maybe not visiting enough channels that do cover that information.
Yeah, sure. And I'm sure you agree with that as well, Moto, that there was multiple perpetrators in this as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, most of us do at this point, I believe. I don't think anybody other than the Gilter channels still believe there's only one person, and that person, of course, we know who they believe it is. So moving on.
I know Hemisphere, the day that your internet, the wind took out your internet.
Yeah.
He touched on, he brought up the L5 latent fingerprint that the forensics report, I think number 11, has shown us. That's very important because that shows a bloody fingerprint on the rear sliding door. And that is not Bryan Kohberger's fingerprint.
Yes, it absolutely excluded Bryan Kohberger, 100%. So
what confuses me about that fingerprint is they tried to go through every single database that they had in the States and internationally, and they couldn't find a match. So that tells me the person, obviously, that left that fingerprint likely doesn't have a criminal record, which kind of pushes out the theory that it was somebody in an organized crime syndicate. That's what doesn't make sense to me.
But he did mention that.
Good point.
And I forget all the proper terminology, so bear with me. But the best
You're okay, bud.
I can recall it is they searched the Department of Defense database, because if you enlist, you give your fingerprints, okay? And there were some shenanigans. That's the best way I can, I guess, rephrase what the takeaway to the point was.
Absolutely.
So there's that.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the issue, in my opinion, too.
Here's another issue. The reason why they may not have Bryan Kohberger's call records or cast records.
Right,
is
right.
the simple fact that it could be a government issued phone, and well, they're not going to release cast records on a government issued phone.
And that's that's a good point there, Moto. I like that. Meaning it could have been given to him through a government agency, folks. If you know what that means, okay? The phone he was using, we don't know. It's just another angle to look at and to very plausibly think about. But yes, very good point there, bud. Very good point. So,
I mean, the murders are in this case are just kind of part of the whole package deal, right? I mean, first you have the cover up by the university, which I think is just a sham. And honestly, I think there was dirty tricks when they hired those consultants, and that money that was funneled to the police station was used in the wrong way.
Yeah.
There's so many different elements to this case that kind of box everything together, that close it up, which kind of leave it to be sealed because there was just too much wrongdoing.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can break it down element by element, but I don't think this podcast is long enough.
Right. At least not today. We've done long ones, but not today. I got you. Any thoughts, Eddie?
Not on that.
No, gotcha. Good point, though. Very good points. Lots going on with this, guys. Lots, as we all know. All right. So, let me see what we got over here. Or misnumbered by pain. Oh, wow. Yeah, that happened too. The renumbering. That was a joke. We talked about that last night a little bit. Or not last night, but the other night, Saturday night. We talked about that with Kevin Curtis, the attorney that joined us from Washington State. And he points out how badly that was done. The fact that it should have never been done. So, Sausage says, I guarantee you they were mismanaging a lot of that money that was coming in federally into the department that was supposed to be overseeing the safety of the college campus. Well, of course. There was a lot of money mismanaged. And Dirty Daddy Green, as I like to call him, was doing a lot of things with money he shouldn't have been doing. At some point, there was some kind of a supercomputer being purchased. He was trying to purchase Phoenix University. He was doing other things here and there, so on and so forth. Where is all that money now? Because some of these things didn't happen. My understanding is the computer was purchased. Phoenix was not. Did he just reallocate it to something else? Did he do something else with it? And then there's more. There's money coming in for other things too. So that's another big point. Let me see. Thank you, SRB, for that. Just double checking some things. So moving forward, any points that you want to make, Eddie, on anything going forward? Please.
I just want to, I guess, maybe just recover what we've been over and
sure.
Try to, logically see where we're at. So we've established that, we're all agreeable to the fact that there was more than one perpetrator.
All right.
And as Pavarotti has established, if you observe that, then there has to be a motive.
Very good
Stands
point.
to reason. That's just goes without saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. This would not make sense without motive. Yes.
So the motive has to be something that rules out crime of passion. Hey, Dago.
I agree with you.
My girlfriend cheated on me. Here's what I got for you. You and I, late at night, we're going to even the score. Are you with me?
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's not real life. So
no, I know what you're doing.
No, I know, but that's just.
Yeah. He's making a point, guys.
Yeah. Just, silliness aside, that just doesn't happen.
Right.
So whatever the motive is it has to make sense.
Absolutely. So we're eliminating at this point crime of passion,
Brittany.
jealous boyfriend, angry boyfriend, whatever you want to call it. That's eliminated. So yes.
I'm laughing at Angel D. That's funny.
Brittany cheated on it.
Good memory. Got me.
Yes, I remember that one. My God, yeah. Real good memory, Angel.
It has to be a pretty sound motive. I mean, so
Yeah.
Just to, I guess, challenge the fraternity theory is, so what is the motive? We hate Ethan. You know,
I mean,
no one has the answer if they don't feel uncomfortable. If they don't feel comfortable, but you got to get how many on board? 3 at least.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. I mean, 3 others, so 4 total.
Absolutely.
And then in this, I guess, thought experiment, did the cops know, or did the frats outsmart and outwit the investigators?
Let me put something down in front of that before you go there. Okay. I want to ask this question because I think this is important to understand or to even think about before we go there. Where did this start? Okay. Did this start before the murders? I'm sorry. Or did it start after the murders? So what I'm saying here, guys, is were the murders part of the entire thing, or did the cover up start after the murders happened? In turn, they had to start working overtime to clean this up. I want people's input on that because I think that's important, because there's a lot of people that believe that the entire thing before and through the whole thing was all one. There's people also that believe that the murders happened and then the cover up happened. And I think that's important.
It was to happen this way. I believe that the cover up happened after the murders, because if you kind of think about it, if this was a hit carried out by, as Pavarotti is saying, if this is a planned hit, then maybe that planned hit had a government employee in that planned hit that was undercover, keeping an eye on a gang.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then they had to cover it up because they couldn't have anybody knowing that there was an undercover person in on the hit and that they were there.
Good point. Interesting.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, that's sound. I mean, it's hard to shoot a hole through that.
It is. Yes. Very good point, Moto. I agree with you. It does make sense. Because truly, if you think about it the other way, it doesn't line up, in my opinion. You know, I've had to think about that a few times. Did this start before? Is it all one big unit, or did it come after? And I agree with Moto on that. So just wanted to say that, but go ahead, Eddie. I did not mean to cut you off, bud.
You didn't. No, this is a good conversation. And what also falls in line with that is, so obviously Kaylee is not in on this. So she's a witness. She saw something upstairs, ran downstairs, and had to be taken care of.
Gotcha.
I mean, so far,
that doesn't explain Dylan or Bethany.
It explains Dylan if she's the one that allowed, the bad guys in, access to the house.
Yeah.
I don't think she allowed the access. I think she was just dumb and she left the door open, unlocked.
So you don't think she did it on purpose? You think it was just like an accidental, oops, I forgot to lock the door?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Understood.
But
Understood.
does that explain away why she was left alive when one of the bad guys walked right by her?
Yeah, because I don't think she was there.
Oh, okay. I got you. There's a lot of people that think that those two were not there. That's one thing that I and all due respect, Moto, I think they were there. And this is only because Ann Taylor has said that more than once. And I think that if they weren't there, then we would have been given their phone records would show that they were somewhere else. That's just my opinion. But see, I think the reason why Dylan was looked at and left alive was because she was involved in that aspect. She knows exactly who, and they know her very well. She basically
let me kind of rephrase that. I'm not saying
you're good. Go ahead.
So let me walk that back a little bit. I think they were there at the beginning. I think once the events started happening, I think both of those young ladies were out the front door.
Gotcha. Okay, so they were there. They knew, and then at some point they said, "You know what? This is too much," and they took off and went somewhere else for a while. I got
absolutely.
Okay, which is again, it's plausible. To finish what I was saying, I believe strongly they were there. that they were not that they were there, that they were involved, at least Dylan specifically, for sure. And I think that I feel like, and this is just me, and I know there's people who disagree. I feel that Bethany was kind of pulled into this, maybe unwillingly in some aspect. And this is again based on the fact that she's either a really good actress or I'm missing something, okay? But I feel like she was pulled into the situation unwillingly, and hence, being threatened, whatever, so on and so forth, is why she took off the way she did. She even, in my opinion, I feel like she tried to leave that morning and was stopped by the police.
I
So
have a feeling they weren't at the residence, but they're at some place where they could actually see.
And I was
the
getting ready to,
backyard.
yeah. I was getting ready to say that it's possible that they did leave for a period of time and then came back with people, which is something I've been thinking about rather recently, that they maybe ran next door to somebody's house or apartment that they know and came back with people, because I still believe there was more than just the people that we know that were there. We know Hunter Johnson, Emily, Josie, Lyndon. We know they were there. We saw them. Okay. I think there was more people there that left right before the police were called. This is just, again, my opinion. So go ahead, Eddie, with what you were saying. I hope we didn't jump too far sideways on that.
The problem when someone gets caught lying is that not everything they say is a lie. Some of it is and some of it isn't. And it's hard to distinguish. It's just problem solving techniques, how to try to navigate through that, because some of the things that people say is the truth too. My point is that Bethany gave a statement and she said that her and Maddie let Murphy out. I believe that.
Yeah.
Is that a pretense? I mean, is that common that late at night for Bethany to do that? Is that a pretense to go through that sliding door, and when you come back in, lo and behold, it's unlocked? Imagine that, right?
Sure.
Notice how it was almost like for the purpose of doing that. She and Maddie went out to let Murphy out, but who went right back in the house?
Bethany. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
that's always been an
right
issue
down,
for me.
Sorry, I stepped over you there.
No. It was, you weren't finished and I kind of stepped on you. Bethany, the statement Bethany made, and I want this to be understood, when she said that those two took him out, but she said she was only out there for 10 seconds, came back in because it was too cold. That's always been an issue with me. I don't think that's why that happened that way. So if it happened, I think it was a different reason, but go ahead, Eddie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to add, notice how she went right back in and then downstairs to the bedroom to fall asleep. Downstairs, lock the door, click, right?
Exactly. Like,
it feels like she knows something.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, she said she grabbed a bag of chips, went down to watch, which, by the way, folks, I question that as well. I know it's a small detail, but the small details I feel like are important now, because we see a bag of chips in the photographs up on the couch in the living room. Is that the same bag? I know there could be more than one. It's just a point I'm trying to point to you, that I think things were made up for no reason and added to create a narrative is all I'm saying. So anyway, that's a good point though that he just made, was like she went outside almost like to kick something off. Okay, here she is. I'm going back in. It's too cold. I did my part. Goes in, locks herself in the room, and that's that. I get what you're saying. It makes a good point. And again, we have to say, is this normal? Does this happen on a regular basis? Good point. Good point. Who usually took the dog out? Why didn't Kaylee take the dog out that night? It's her dog. Why wasn't it Kaylee and Maddie? Because that's what we were told from Olivia Stevenson, that it was Kaylee and Maddie. Obviously we know that that's not true, but she said she saw them get dropped off 156, go inside and come back outside with Murphy. We know that's not true. You didn't see it. You couldn't see it. You don't know. None of that's true. So anyway,
here's some things that are true. She, in that interview, she was showing her phone and saying, I called Xana around 4:22 a.m. Ethan around 4:22, Kaylee at 4:31. So those things would have to be true, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's, you know,
They're
that's
facts.
evidence right on the
They're right in your
phone.
face. Exactly.
How do you back yourself out of that? So those calls are, you know, just a finger drill, as I would call it. Just going through the motions. That suggests that she knows much more.
Go ahead. Keep going, bud. Stupid
Pretty
spam
much.
calls. Sorry about that.
Finishes up my thought, but you know, and again, like we've always said, you know, no part of me thinks that they are the, you know, the four that carried out the homicides.
No. And let me clarify, Tattoo Gal. No, I'm not saying that there were spectators. What I think happened is I think these people all showed up in the morning because there were things being throughout the night. People were getting messages. This happened, that happened. This is what happened here. I think there were pictures sent, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I think people came over in the morning and were there. I think, and I do believe Dylan's boyfriend probably being one of them. Things like that is what I mean. Not that there were people actually watching this go down. I mean, there could have been, but that's not what I was saying. If anybody, I think it would have been Dylan and or Bethany, whether they want to or didn't want to. That would be it, in my opinion. But anyway. So, anyway, moving forward. Was there more to what you were saying, bud, or was that it?
I don't know. It just kind of goes along with this thought too. If we can establish that there was more than one person committing the homicides, then what happened in that house is dramatically different. I think everyone by now has watched that AI girl do the you know, the silhouette man walking through the single man going through and doing it.
Unfortunately, yes.
Which is pretty sickening.
Yeah.
But at least you all know what I'm referring to.
Yeah. Very horrible depiction, and I did not like what she did, but yes, you're correct.
If we've established, and if everyone is agreeable to that it's more than one, that whatever happened in that house is completely different than what we have ever imagined prior to this. So that includes DM and BF's actions during the homicide and moments after.
Correct.
We know that there is, you know, unknown male DNA, blood, you know, on the handrail, etc. We know all these facts, right?
Yeah, right.
And can you imagine? I mean, everyone has nicked themselves, nicked your finger or your forehead or cutting yourself, shaving, whatever it is. And you bleed like a stuck pig and it's dripping all over the place.
Yes.
Everyone with me on that. Everyone's had that life experience. Can you imagine cutting yourself with a knife during this? It seems someone did.
I agree.
Can you imagine what immediate action they would have had to have taken to like staunch the flow of that?
Yeah, because that would cause huge issues within the scene and you can't control. Okay, you have two people that you just bludgeoned and stabbed to death in front of you that are covered in blood and you're bleeding. You have to stop it now because it's going to intertwine with that. And it's a big problem. If you have any common sense, it would cause a big problem. You would know that.
The first thing I would do, and I have done, I've cut myself bad sometimes, you know, in the kitchen or whatever.
Right.
I didn't even want to look at it because I knew it was bad. And the first thing I did is I looked around for the nearest like towel or something and wrapped it up. And I don't even know, you know, how bad it is because I don't dare look at it, but there it is wrapped up and it's coming through. Right. So, you know, there's stuff like this possibly happening in this house.
Well, I'm glad you said that because something I thought about a month or so ago, and I never really went into it because we never got to that point. But let me throw something at you both and everybody out here. Okay. Let's say that happened, Eddie. Okay. So we get a statement, and like you said, maybe not everything they've said is a lie. Okay. We get a statement from Dylan in her interview as well, talking about seeing this person go by her. And I'm just going to throw this at you guys. Doesn't mean that it's real or that it's true or that it happened or that's what it is. It's just a thought. This person allows her to stay alive. They don't look at, they look at her, but they don't even think about it. They just keep on going. They leave at that point. They have to leave at that point. She claims to see them holding something in front of them and going out that door, whatever it is. So, with what you just said, what if they did cut themselves, Eddie, on the last part of what they were doing, found what you just said, a shirt, a towel, whatever, and wrapped it all over their hand. And at that point, they have to leave, okay, because they're dripping blood. They injured themselves. They need to get out. They can no longer carry out anything else. At least that person, okay, that one person. Out the door they go, holding their arm or their hand wrapped in front of them with something that she could be seeing because it's dark and, her brain doesn't tell her the right things, as she says. And out the door they go. Does that seem probable to you, any of you whatsoever? 1 minute here. I do have to do this. I'm sorry. You can think on that for a minute. Dawn Caps, thank you for that. Says $4.99 super chat, and I do believe that's number one towards our goal. And I guess I'll have to do this now. You might want to turn down if you have headphones on, plug your ears, get ready. I threw this in for this, so thank you again, Dawn, very much.
Money talk.
Here comes the money.
All right. Thank you to Outcast for introducing me to that song. But anyway, thank you very much, Don. Much appreciated.
I think I follow, Dago, what you're saying. You're saying, like, so someone has injured themselves badly, and there's a group of 3 of us or 4 of us that are there, and the one that was injured, everyone's telling them, get out, get your ass out with that shit.
Exactly, right? Because you're gonna leave DNA here. We can't have that. Okay,
yep.
So wrap
get
it up
out of
with
the house
towel.
now. We don't need that stuff, all over the place. And then, like, Dylan, clean this. I mean, that explains, because we know from the case documents that there appears to have been a cleanup or multiple attempts.
Agreed. That's the only way there's no footprints, in my opinion. Yes, sir.
Think about what you would want to clean up. Are they cleaning up because they're just really tidy and they're neat freaks and they're OCD that way? Or is there something very significant that they want cleaned away, such as, if they cut themselves and they're bleeding in the house?
They can't leave any behind. Correct. It could be a combination of both. Like I said, everybody's questioned, how is there no footprints leading out of Xana's bedroom down the hallway? How are there no footprints throughout the house? There was so much blood, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we agree.
Maybe some of those were cleaned up as, because how can, let's just say, just for the sake of this discussion, that, hey, the 4 of us have to get out of here now. I mean, why, after all, why wouldn't you? You would want to be out. We're out.
Yeah.
And hey, DM, it's up to you now to clean this up. Clean up over here for sure. Clean.
Yes.
Pick the shit up. So
absolutely.
That would explain that.
Just to build on that, the next morning, wasn't it seen on camera?
Not so much. I mean, because it's like, well, if I left, obviously you're gonna leave, there's gonna be footprints no matter what, as you do that. So are they concerned about that so much? Because, okay, so I left some footprints behind. Well, I did that. Well, I'll just make sure I burn these shoes. So there's no way to match me with the footwear.
Sure.
The footwear doesn't exist anymore.
One thing that came to my mind when Dago was talking, there was one incident that happened that night. The nurse that called the hotline.
Hold that thought, Hemi. Hold that thought, Hemi, real quick. I appreciate you joining, by the way. What were you going to say, Moto? I'm sorry about that, buddy. I only heard you guys ran over top each other. Go ahead.
Just to build on what Eddie was saying, and with the towel situation, wasn't it seen on camera the next morning around, I don't know what time it was, like 7, 8 o'clock? The neighbors from the house with the pumpkins on the balcony, wasn't it seen on camera, them running out of the door with towels in bags?
I remember hearing something about that. I don't know how to verify it, but I do remember hearing that somewhere. And that's a good point. So that could be absolute. That could. Very interesting. And if that is a fact, if anybody knows about that, where we can find that to try to verify that, um, because that would make perfect sense. And it would be kind of important, I would think, too, to be able to verify and clarify that. Um, but I do remember hearing it for sure. Good point. Thank you for throwing that in there. Go ahead, Hemi, with what you're saying, bud.
I was just going to say that there's a nurse that called the hotline that night saying that guys showed up badly cut, bleeding all over the place, which ultimately wound up dying anyway. And that was Malwich.
Well, that was the 4 a.m. the call for at 4 a.m. I think it was, where she said that. And you're saying that's Malwich.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I know of that matches the description you was talking about there.
Right.
That was badly cut.
Got you. And okay, let me notate that as well again. Interesting point. Now I see you guys in chat real quick, guys. Bear with me. There's tarps being talked about. So here's what happened. This was talked about 3.5 years ago at this point when Kim came around. One of the things that was stated, okay, was that they were doing repairs on the house, because what they were doing, and she brought this up the other day again when she was here, they were repainting, refixing, repatching the walls, doing this, doing that, getting ready for the next group of people that could be coming through there, so on and so forth. So according to what we were told and what she was told, is that there were like tarps and things like that all through the house, because they were going to be doing this, painting and this and everything else. But when we see the crime scene photographs, there's no tarps anywhere. There's none. So again, we don't know that this is true. This is something she was told almost 4 years ago. We don't know that's fact, but if it is true, that would be a very easy way to clean things up. I agree. Just take everything with you, go burn the shit with the shoes, whatever it is, just burn it all. It's gone. End of story. If it's true, that's where the tarps come into play for those of you that were questioning that. So just wanted to throw that out there. And I'm talking about, like, I don't know if it was plastic or cloth tarps or whatever the hell these companies use to do their things. That's what it was. They'd be laid down on the floors and all that kind of stuff. So anyway.
Dago, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay. I can hear Hemisphere, but I did not, the last time Moto spoke, did not hear him.
Okay, that's probably how you guys overlapped then. No worries. That's probably because you guys were speaking at the exact same time.
I don't think it was that, but we'll see how it goes.
No
I
problem.
do want to add something though. So
yeah.
To the point about that AI, animation of, the bad guy going through the house and doing all the things.
Yes.
My point is, so we've established that it's not a single perpetrator crime, and what happened in the house was nothing like that. And for the last 3+ years, everyone's seen like a dog puppy chasing his tail. That's what we've been doing, trying to make sense of one person doing this.
For sure.
Getting nowhere. So will we ever know what happened in the house? No. But the best we can do, just like two teams at trial in the courtroom, they go to battle, and one will present what they believe and the other one presents what they believe, and they argue, and whoever has the best argument at the end wins, hopefully.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's where we're at. We're never going to know, but at least as long as the takeaway here is that we know that more than one is involved, that's huge. And who it is an entirely different, I guess, discussion or point to this too.
Got you. No, sure. Absolutely.
Because we'll never know that either, by the way.
Very true. Let me ask a question. If you guys remember, do you guys remember when they were in one of the, I think it was the MPD reports we read through, there was somebody they interviewed who was cut really bad, and he claimed that he did it cutting chicken. You guys remember that report?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder. And again, with what you were saying, Hemming, I think that happened on the Tomboy would know the best, but I think it was the 15th because she's followed the Malwich stuff pretty close. So that would have been the day after the day after. So I don't know that that would line up clearly, but I wonder who this person was that cut his hand cutting chicken, how reliable that is, what that is, so on and so forth. There's still a couple issues there. I just want to throw that in there because of the mix that we were talking about. Anyway, but there's a good point to bring that up though, for sure, because that is definitely something that Pavarotti had brought out at one point, more than one point, and talked about as well. So
I do know that Malwich has ties to the Aaron Knights as well.
Of course.
So there's your ties to Quinn, who has ties to Aaron Knights, who is Dylan's boyfriend.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It all goes back down to that road. So
if that would be okay, let me relay this. If that is who was responsible, then yeah, it would make perfect sense. Is it possible? Let me ask this question to you guys and what your opinion is. Is it possible that there was, because I still feel this is very huge and very possible, two things happening at one time? Okay. And I know everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? We know there's more than one perpetrator. Could things have happened together? Same time? Maybe two separate situations going together as one? I know this again sounds a little wild, but I'm just trying to cover everything that I can because this was brought to my attention more than once. So, so without fail, there's definitely multiple perpetrators doing this. There's definitely a motive, okay? And it's got to be a pretty serious motive to take someone's life. So, I think in the beginning we talked about this again with Kim, where she believed that, from what she heard, that this was something that started as maybe a shakedown, confrontation, whatever, and it went from that and turned into this, and it went too far. I don't know that I believe that at this point. There's too many other things that have come forward now. It could be still. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it's just I'm just wondering now too. Throwing that in here as well, motive wise.
Well, that would, I guess, that's synonymous with the frats. Then that's your guys who did it.
Right.
It doesn't pan out.
Hold the line, Eddie. Hold your thought. I'll be right back. Somebody's at my front door. I got to shut that down. I'll be right back.
Okay.
By the way, you guys can talk if you want.
Does it pan out for you, Hemisphere?
Yeah. Knowing what we know about Dylan's phone activities, okay? And I'm sorry, I had to keep going down that road with Kelly, her boyfriend, and his ties with the Aaron Knights, and the fact that Malwich has also ties with the Aaron Knights as well. The 100%, I would like to know if they even tested that bloody print on the sliding door against the unknown Bell B.
I would say no.
And did they also test everybody that they've ever interviewed? Because in my humble opinion, and I've always been this way, they did not want to point a finger at the university at all, period. So being that Dylan is tied to, or not, well, let's say tied, or going to the college, they didn't want to put her as suspect one or put any hint of that out there. But from what the evidence is showing, she had involvement in it. And with her boyfriend having ties to the Aaron Knights, who has the connections to be able to pull something off of this magnitude,
All right, I'm here.
I had to consider it, in my humble opinion, that they did not even look into that direction. There's a reason why Quinn was never brought into the investigation. I think sometimes I also feel that law enforcement has some involvement in all of this as well, because to know the great extent that they went through to cover everything up, because only information that anybody would have, if we was to take Pop's theory that he laid out for us today, who would know that information about the parents? Somebody in law enforcement or somebody in the area nights who's running cartel or kind of drug cartel.
Are you talking in regards to the parents that were arrested and maybe possibly rolled over?
Mm-hmm. Or they had ties with Maddie and Xana being the targets.
No, I understand. I just wanted to make sure I caught up because I had to run to the door. By the way, guys, remember I told you it was 75 degrees here yesterday. There's 2 inches of snow on the ground in the past 35 minutes. It's insane, just so you know. Anyway, sorry about that. Go ahead.
And also, I like to point out at that particular time, our favorite prosecutor was it Josh Hewitt,
Hurwitz,
who got on the prosecutor's team late in the game. He just had the biggest drug bust in Idaho history around about that time. That had the investigation going right about the time this all happened as well.
I will clarify that my opinion, clearly and truly just my opinion, they tried to tell us that Josh Hurwitz was brought in because of the psychological analysis being done to Bryan Kohberger, whatever, so on and so forth. I don't believe that at all, okay? I absolutely don't believe that. I believe that they brought him in because of the drug aspect that they weren't telling the world. That's just, again, my opinion, but that's truly what I believe, that it was due to the drug side to this, because I believe it's there. And we saw, I'm not going to get into that other part, but that's my opinion with Hurwitz, since you brought him up. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense, though. I mean, we've been, like Eddie was saying, we've been going around in circles like a dog chasing his tail, looking at alternate suspects and going, we all agree that one man couldn't have done this.
Of course.
And we all agree that the narrative that they got from Dylan is just total bullshit. So she's lying her ass off. And she wouldn't be lying her ass off because of her connection with Quinn. In my humble opinion, I can't prove it.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I know we're talking about separate things here. Let me see if I can link this. Okay, and this is what I've been trying to do to make it make sense. Now, I've showed you guys on other campuses a drug activity being handled by fraternities, and mostly fraternities, and sororities to some aspect, okay? But I mean, at some point, I think we did a little cover story on a university that completely started their own business with this and was bringing in millions of dollars every month. So there's that. But if this was the Aryan Nation situation that we've talked about, we've heard about many times, could it be both, is what I'm trying to say. And I probably didn't put it out there right the first time. Because I think if this is what this is, that the fraternities could have been used to distribute the drugs brought in by the other entity, per se. This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Therefore, that would include both at that point. That's the point that I was trying to get to with that. And I don't think I said it right, so my apologies for that. But that's what I believe. If this works out this way, so I believe that if there is a specific entity that is a cartel or a drug distributor, whatever you want to call it, they use the fraternities to distribute them amongst the campus, amongst the houses, amongst the kids, whatever it was. That's my opinion. And that would make sense to me, per se. So,
yeah, you look at that video that we watched the other day, talking about Steve G and Kaylee was looking into the law enforcement trying to expose whatever activity they was trying to expose. We was watching what was that other video? Talking about the Idaho 4. You know what I'm talking about? We was watching today.
I think so. I'm not 100%, but I think so.
Steve, we know that Kaylee is into true crime.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that video made a statement that Steve G was working with Kaylee, trying to expose MPD.
Oh, Idaho 4 revealed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I believe that's, I think that was just an angle they were looking at. There were some other things in that I thought were important. I don't know that I believe that Steve and Kaylee were working together to expose the Moscow Police Department. That's a little far-fetched for me at this point. That part of that video is, but there were some other things we were looking at in there that I thought were interesting. I don't know. I mean, it could be. Anything's plausible at this point, guys, but
right. It is a bit of a rabbit hole.
It's kind of a
theory.
reach. Yeah. Definitely a theory for sure, but I don't know that that's anything I believe.
Hey, Diego, thanks for having me on. Thanks for popping me. Thanks for popping my stream.
Interesting discussion, but I forget what it was. Diego.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is a problem. He can't hear. Yeah, Moto, no problem, brother. And please know, anytime you're here, you're absolutely welcome to jump up here. Love your thoughts, opinions, and appreciate you being part of the community as always, bro. And is this your first time ever doing this?
Yeah, it's my first time ever on a stream.
You did amazing, brother. I have a lot of people who do that here. I hope you decide to come back sometime. Thank you very much.
All right, sounds good. Take it easy, guys.
Take care, bro. Yeah, I don't know why you can't hear him, Eddie. That's weird.
Diego, what happened? Did I step on top of him?
He was talking and you just started talking, so you obviously can't hear him because I know you would never.
Is it me? Should I drop out and then try to come back? Remember last week I experienced.
He left. He's down now, so I don't think it'll matter.
I'm sure he's still here. I mean, I don't want him to go when all I need to do is drop out and come back because that seemed to fix it last week.
Yeah, but he had to leave anyway. He dropped out.
Okay, well, that's too bad.
No, it wasn't because of that. He had to go anyway. But it's you might be right, but we're good now, and I appreciate you wanting to do that.
Hemisphere, you could hear him too.
Yeah, it was fine with me.
Okay.
And you hear Eddie okay, Hemi?
Yeah, I can hear him fine. He's normal.
And you hear him okay too, Eddie?
Yes. So far, so good.
It might have been something going on with his setup then. Which is, it happens. We'll work through it next time if we have to. Really appreciate you joining us, Moto, and hope to see you next time again. So Lucy's, I just lost it, damn it. Lucy had made a statement about, so I'm saying that because we didn't go to trial, where the hell did it go, Lucy? There it is. So you're saying that had there been a trial, we would have learned of a drug connection, but since the plea, they decided not to tell it. Well, I don't think they were ever going to tell us that. They denied it the whole time, Lucy. Was the defense going to bring that to the table? I don't know. I do honestly believe the drug connection is real. And I believe that I've always believed that, to be honest with you, from the very beginning. I've always believed that this has absolutely something to do with drugs. Just no doubt. So I'm not saying again that, I believe one of them were a big time drug dealer, but something was going on with narcotics within that situation there is my opinion. But yeah, I don't think they wanted to tell the public because it would give the university a bad look and a bad, hence the reason why there's a cover up to begin with, I think, possibly. So again, this is just my opinion. So I don't know. Anyway, guys, go ahead with what you were saying. I didn't mean to step on that. I just wanted to answer that question.
I'll try to answer the question. And I kind of agree with you, Dave. I don't think the defense attorney defending their client would even have to, that's not part of it. They don't have to theorize what really happened. They're just there to prove Bryan Kohberger didn't do it. So no, I don't think we had ever seen the drug connection spoken of at trial. Does that make sense?
Say that last part one more time.
While defending Bryan Kohberger, I don't think the defense would have even need to, use that as part of their defense.
Right. Got you. No, I can agree.
Because that's going down, that's traveling down the avenue of, what really happened. Well, what we think might have happened is such and such.
Yeah.
The following.
Right.
And no, they don't need to do that. That's not where they, I don't think, focus, their energy.
No. Right. No, I can agree. Let me clarify something too. Like, I never believed that, again, these kids have only been in, other than I think it was Xana and Maddie lived there the year before. Everybody else has only been there for a couple months when this all goes down. I think Kaylee was there since, was it July or August? Everybody else was fairly new, just a few months. Okay. But Kaylee and Maddie Xana and Maddie are there from the year before, which is interesting considering what we just talked about through Pop's video, but they had been there over a year. I don't think that the house itself was a drug hub. Let me clarify this. I think it was a party house, as I've said before, and that the drugs just happened to be sold through the house because of the type of house it was. That's my opinion. The people that would show up there were the dealers, and people would know that they could go to the party house to get what they wanted to get because those people would be there, if that makes any sense, you guys. That's how I'm trying to present it. So that's something I've always thought. Literally always thought from the beginning. Now, one of the things that we have to take and relook at now, and I know we're jumping around here and there, but I'm trying to make sure that all these pins fit into these slots, okay? So does this mean any of this? I believed that I've said this many times that I always believed that Dylan very possibly went and lured Kaylee back into the situation. Does that change that situation with what we just heard for that video? Does anybody think, would that make that difficult to be true?
No, I don't believe so. I believe she has something to do with it.
What do you think on that, Eddie? If anything.
I don't think that that's an important factor so much anymore, like it was back to us, back initially.
Okay.
It feels like Kaylee was not one of the targets.
Right.
No.
That's what I'm trying to say. So being
She
that
was
we're
there,
looking,
she witnessed something, and you know what happens when you witness something that you shouldn't.
Collateral damage. Right. So we're going to believe that Kaylee and Ethan very likely could have been collateral damage, which again, in turn, would alleviate the fact that he was lured back to the house to be a target. I mean, unless two things are, again, this situation was known to go down and they said, hey, let's get her back here too, blah, blah, blah. But it just, that wouldn't make sense to me. So anyway, moving past that, and I agree, that's probably not as important at this point. So,
I want to explore something real quick, Dago. Let me know if it's worth spending a little bit of time here.
Anything you want to do, bud, go for it.
If, the motive, we're here talking about the motive has to make sense. And this is
that's
really serious. When this is going to happen to two people or more, and there's going to be 3 or possibly 4 people total involved in doing it, then that's a pretty serious motive. So that motive has to hold water and it has to make sense.
Sure.
That said, explore, the frats, holding true to what we just discussed. If you're going to have 3 or 4, young men, fraternity guys doing this, and obviously, no matter what, I think we can all agree that law enforcement, the prosecution, investigators, they know what happened here. They're not fools.
Right.
They're not, Mayberry, the Keystone Cops. I mean, they have technology, and technology runs instantaneously. So whatever's being taught at the big cities, New York, Chicago, what have you, London, that information, whatever is the latest investigative technique, that just, then it's everywhere. It is in Mayberry. So they know who did it. You have to, I guess, be there, be right at that in your mindset. They know who did it. So if your theory is to hold that it's fraternities that did this, law enforcement know that the frat guys did this, and the law enforcement is going to cover for them, Bill Thompson is going to cover for him, and what? Because of their code of silence, they're going to go through life, they're going to become middle-aged men, old men, and all through life, they're all going to, no one's going to spill it. What happens if they do spill it? That means then that looks bad on the investigators, right? I mean, Bill Thompson is willing to, trust his whole entire career, his life, his legacy on these young kids that decided to, I don't know, settle a score with Ethan. Then they're gonna cover for them, and in turn, all these people that were involved, the 3 or 4, you pick it, whichever, it doesn't matter. They're not going to say anything. They're going to go through life and they're going to just die with this and, take this to the grave as a secret. Right. Never happening. And for what? Because it saves the college. People go to school there and the money is important. That's not a reason. Those two are not connected. I got so sick and tired over the years of hearing that, but although that might be true in a general sense, it doesn't hold true to this. That's not a reason why Bill Thompson would do that. Right?
Right.
Rest assured, law enforcement knows what's
I
the
agree.
Truth here.
Yeah, I fully agree. They know the absolute truth, in my opinion. I have for a long time.
And I don't think the people who did this are with us anymore.
Okay, so you think they've... Okay, gotcha.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the only way this works. The people who did this aren't around anymore. They're not talking. And that's why you have to pin it on someone who has absolutely no involvement in this. It can't be Bryan Kohberger is partially involved now. That doesn't work, because what part did he play?
And that would explain why it had to be a lone, specific one perpetrator as well.
Yeah, because again, what part did he play? If any of you hold to that belief that, well, he's okay, there's more than one, but he's one of them. Well, then you have to answer that question. What was his job? To drive over to Wawa Park and become like a decoy, be one of the many white vehicles that's driving around at night to confuse everybody?
Right.
Is that his part?
It doesn't make sense, right? That's wild. It's wild. Yeah, I got you on that part of it, and it makes perfect sense. That was always a theory I had for a while too. When we would talk about the Kopaka thing as to how, this is what happened here, and maybe he was meant to be the patsy for this, and things went wrong, and then we have to have somebody to put this on. It can't just be, well, that person's dead now, so there's nothing. It could have never been that. There had to be somebody to put this on to take accountability for this. That's how I've always seen this, unfortunately. So,
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the problem with having Bryan Kohberger being partly involved, he played a role in it. Drove. He was the one driving the car, whatever. That means he knows the others. So,
of course,
again,
and he's never said a word, not once. And why would he not? Why would he not? Even when the death penalty was on the table, how would you not say, "Yo, what about Steve or Sandy?" I wasn't alone. This happened. What is he going to gain from not putting them out there? I agree with you.
Thank you for that. You finished my thought, so to speak. That's where I was going.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
He would have information on the truth, and that would look bad for the investigation and the prosecution, right? Like, oh, well, we really had that wrong.
Agreed.
Well, if you have that really wrong, then that means, we were talking about how powerful impeaching someone's testimony, catching them in a lie. Well, if you were wrong, then I guess you're not all that good as a prosecutor.
Well,
you really had it wrong. How does that look in the public eye?
Of course.
That's a stain.
And that not only makes the prosecutor look bad. It makes the entire
They're all
state,
fools at that
county, city, they all look bad. So yeah.
So that, again, that's why he has nothing to do with this. That's the only way this works. Now, how he became, how he drew the shortest straw, is just an easy target, and just he he fits all the criteria of the perfect patsy.
I still think in some way, and I know people are going to argue this with me. It could even, you guys may even doing it, and it's okay. I still think in some weird way that after we saw the reports that were released from WSU, that in some sense they may have pushed Bryan into their arms with that stuff per se, possibly. You know what I mean? It's just a thought. This guy's weird, in their mind, of course. This guy's weird. He's off in this way and off in that way. Look, he's the one that probably did it. Here he is. And in turn, they look at this guy and go, oh, yeah, okay, this is perfect, and take hold and move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We've talked many times over the years how, someone with, that's on the spectrum, has Asperger's or whatever, can be very off-putting. They don't mean to be, but that's...
Of course.
That's just how it goes. And that would put him as an easy target.
Sure. And that's one of the reasons why I've thought that, because, pick on the different person. He'd be perfect for this, and that'll shut everything up, shut everybody up, and we got it, and we'll move on, and we're done. So, yeah. Let me see. I'm trying to look at the chat, too. How did Ann Taylor know Bethany had exculpatory evidence? I'm a little late to the game. Because there was documents filed, sausage. When they tried to get Bethany to make statements, so on and so forth, and she refused to come back from Nevada. That whole thing came out at right around that point in time. So that's how they knew about that. I see Chris has been saying this nonstop. He's never held back. Dylan and Bethany took part in the killing, and I'm thinking he means like hands-on took part in it. I struggle with that personally. I'm not saying, with respect, Chris, truly, obviously, I appreciate you, brother. I've always struggled with imagining and envisioning those two hands-on going in and being part of the killing. Not that I've never thought of it, and not that I would ever dismiss it. It's just hard for me to process. That's all. And they did interview her in Nevada. Just trying to catch up with chat and make sure I'm not missing too much of you guys over here. I would be gosh danged if I was working on a case and they allowed my witness to ignore subpoena. Good point. Gosh danged. Nice choice of words, brother. By the way, Senor, I hope things have calmed down in your life. I still would love it if you could get that link to me so I could get into that Brady stuff, the Brady violation stuff, if possible. All right. Pete. A lot of people are talking about Pete, who was Ethan's true best friend, his real best friend. I think it's El Longoria or something like that was him. He's the one we see in the video singing with Ethan. I see you guys saying there's no doubt that okay, let me bring this statement back up then too and see how this intertwines with this. And there again, I think this all goes back to what you believe or don't believe with what Steve has to say. Because this is stuck with me since we read these text messages between him and Brat Norton, where she says that I believe that Dylan's a liar. He says she absolutely is a liar. She's being protected by her stepmother's law firm. And then he goes off to say at the same time that he was threatened by her family and the Showalter family legally. And then in turn, we wonder if that's when he did his little flip-flop. So, can that be added to the equation? Again, this is all based on what you guys believe that he says. So, I just wonder, because that's something I can't let go of. That's always bothered me since I heard that. Let me check the chat here. Charisma Craft, welcome, by the way. What about Maddie's boyfriend, Jake Schreiger? My understanding was that Jake was in Boise during this entire thing. They never looked at him in a weird way that I thought of, or that I ever saw or heard of. Oh, no. Don't apologize. You're okay. I still, yes, there's no doubt in my mind that Dylan and Bethany have lied incessantly, especially Dylan for sure. I can't verify like 1,000,000% that everything. And again, let me clarify something Eddie said too. Some of what they have told, how there's truth in there somewhere, guys. Every lie is built from truth. It period. Okay, that's just a factual statement. But there's a lot of lying and a lot of misinformation being put out there. There are some truths in it, though, in some things that you cannot. If it's in a text message on a phone, it has to be true. You can't, put that off. So, wasn't Maddie going to see her boyfriend that weekend? Maybe Dylan got Kaylee back so Maddie would stay in town. That I don't know. I don't know. There's other statements that were made there recently after that too. That about Kaylee staying, not going to Texas. I think it was Bethany that said it. Which I don't understand. Things like that. There's a lot of these little things that are, in the background to remember too. You only lie when you have something to hide. Dylan's lies are the most outrageous, which, in my opinion, leads me to believe she has the most. And I agree with you on that one too. I do agree with you on that one too.
Dago.
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to interrupt.
No. You're not interrupted at all. I'm just reading through the chat to trying to make sure I'm catching up with them.
I forget whose video it was I was watching recently, but it might have been Pav's. One of his. He's been dropping a lot of really great, works lately.
Yeah.
I had an epiphany. I was watching a segment where, remember that one hearing where Ann Taylor was explaining to the court, there's a problem where Dylan said that she went upstairs, went downstairs, and she was struggling to explain it, right?
Yeah.
There's 2 times in the first statement she said that Kaylee ran upstairs, came back downstairs running, and then made another statement on that day. And then there's another place. Let me look. There's a 4th place on a subsequent interview, and she was struggling. And then we were all trying to make sense of that for so long, and everyone had a theory what that meant. But it all came just. I understand. I grok it completely now after watching it. I know what she is saying, and I understand totally that.
Break it down, buddy. Break it down.
Yeah, breaking it down is because you were just talking about, Dylan lied. There's many times when she lied, and that doesn't mean that be careful. Doesn't mean everything she said is a lie. You got to sort through it. And we're not just believing the things, okay, like if we identify that something is not a lie, that's not arbitrary. That is backed up with science.
Gotcha.
And the information that we have access to now at this point with forensics and all of this, her statement, she is consistent about one thing, pretty much at 4 a.m. Kaylee was in the main room on the 2nd floor. She went upstairs, and then she screamed. Her and the dog went upstairs, and then they come running back downstairs screaming, someone's here. That is a truth because the evidence proves it.
Right. Welcome back, Kim.
That was what Ann Taylor was saying that one hearing. And that was my epiphany. I understand it. And Ann Taylor understood it way back then.
Right. Got you.
But that hearing was, when we first got Nunez's body cam and all the interviews, that was so much, who knows how much time passed since that hearing and that information. And now finally all the forensics with, the Kaylee's blood on the table and etc.
Absolutely. What are your? Because I don't think we've ever talked about it. Like, if you have one, and of course, if you don't worry about that. But with Kaylee's blood on the table downstairs on the 2nd floor of the half wall. What are all this? don't think we've ever talked about, you and me, and like you've expressed any kind of feelings about your thoughts on that, about what may have happened. Is a in a just a a breakdown of what you think could have went down with that. If you have any thoughts, of course.
Well, the blunt force injuries would make sense right at that location. I mean, she's trying to escape or, raise the alarm, whatever. And they have to subdue her, right?
Do you
So
think that go ahead, go ahead,
that
go
is
ahead.
where that happened.
Right.
And who knows how much damage was done right there, but enough so that they could carry her upstairs. And, I'm sure by now everyone has seen with the photos, the swipe on the door that's 4 feet high, that's going into the room. Speaking about Maddie's room right now. And that's, it's a very telling story. And again, is that the truth? Well, that's one side's, there's two teams in the courtroom. One side is going to tell the story this way using evidence, and the other side is going to try to tell a different story. And whoever has truth on the side or the most evidence, sadly, that's what it is. We're never going to know the truth, but what Pavarotti does is he makes a statement, he makes a case.
Right.
Just like they would at trial. And whoever has, the best, whoever, made the best case at the end of the day, hopefully is right. And that is the truth.
Sure. Absolutely.
But it's definitely not, there's when a sharp-edged weapon is used, to cut someone, it doesn't have a limitless supply of their blood. It's going to drip initially, but then stop dripping. And there's going to be a trail of it initially.
Of course.
So I'm sure everyone has watched those videos. He's established that the fact that there's only Kaylee's blood downstairs on the second floor,
Mm-hmm.
That tells, forensically, that tells the story.
It's really odd, actually, considering that Xana and Ethan are there on that level, and Kaylee's blood's downstairs. That's her shows up more than theirs do. From you know what I mean? That's odd to me. That's very odd.
For a long time, even before we had all this evidence, I was saying that it's going to be a thrashing. When this was, of course, before the plea deal, but when this goes to trial, it's going to be a thrashing. And Taylor is going to destroy them. And in the evening news, when all these, news nations and the like, Court TV or whatever.
Yeah.
With Vinny, whatever.
Yep.
Whatever fake news channel you decide to catch up with. They're going to do damage control, and they're going to tell a completely different story of how the day in court went. They're going to make it sound like they always did to us. Remember how they would report, she's throwing all the pasta against the wall to see what's going to stick. She got to try everything.
Sure.
So condescending and just icky about how they were twisting the reality of what's happening along the way. That's what it would have been. That's part of why it couldn't have gone to trial. They couldn't allow that. I don't know how he takes a plea deal when they have absolutely no evidence against him, but we can see now that there is no evidence against him.
None. Not even a little bit.
That's smoke and mirrors. They have a way of doing it. And part of it, of course, is, I guess, public opinion and putting out, these hit pieces. Of course, that's part of it. The Dateline NBC.
Of course.
Etc.
Now,
do they have a way of getting to a jury? Can money do that? Like Hollywood movies depict?
Right. That's interesting. And I always wondered if I always believe they would. I mean, we already know there was jury tainting done with the Dateline and all these other things that happened, like it was said. But yeah, and I think that's partially some of the reason why the plea deal came into effect because I think Ann knew. And again, I said before, like months ago when this was coming close to happening. If you read about it, read up on it. Juries look to the judge for guidance. Okay,
Yes.
they do. They look to the judge in the case that they're sitting on for guidance through the case, regardless. Okay, and we know who he is. You know, Mr. Hypocrite himself. We know who he is and who he was in that case. So if they're looking to him for guidance, he's going to lead them in a direction, obviously, that is not a healthy thing, in my opinion, with the case. So I think Ann knew that. I think the whole defense knew that. I think we saw that. So that would have been, in my opinion, a disaster. Okay. And I think they knew that, hence the reason why we're at this point. So
He wasn't even being subtle about it.
oh, right. Right. Not even close. Yeah, he was very out there with it. Did I need to clarify something about the blood in the living room thing? Yeah, what I was trying to say was like there was so much of Kaylee's down there, but Xana was right there down the hall, and her was the only blood. Come to find out, what that wasn't in that living room area, and she was mobile according to them. Because I even asked yesterday, I thought the blood that was behind the bar cart belonged to Xana's, and they come back to say that that was not hers at that point. That was some kind of a mistake, which could all have been because of the excuse the language, but the quote unquote fuckery that was going on. Because when you had the lead investigator renumbering the samples and so on and so forth like this, so that's how I understood it. Unless I'm wrong, okay, if that's which could be, I'm okay with that. I was just trying to re-explain it that way. That's how I understood it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring it up for us to linger on the point.
No,
I was
it's okay.
struggling a bit to recall it all because it's been a while since I watched that. But he breaks it down so wonderfully. It makes it easy to understand and follow. There was also, and I think this might have been a different video, but I'm sure many of us have seen where the state's expert saw initially, the blood on the table, thought it was Xana's, and then attributed it to an attack. And once that expert learned, and I'm paraphrasing the best I can, it's been a while since I watched this video too, but once the state's expert learns that it's Kaylee's blood, not Xana's, then the expert changes their opinion. They back away from, it's not an attack, I guess, now.
Exactly. And that's what I was referring to. Welcome, Aussie McGlenn.
I mean,
they initially thought that was Xana's blood on the side of the table and behind the bar cart. And then they come back and that is retracted. That's where I got lost. But go ahead. Sorry, bud.
I mean, some children are even more clever at being sneaky than that. I mean, that's
yeah.
If you can't see through that, I mean, then someone is really gullible. But and again, not to linger on the point. Something that's really been interesting me lately is I've been wondering, have you guys, because I've been I stepped away for about 4 months.
Yeah, of course.
We all heard about the Jesus said somewhere along the way, this might have been a couple years after the homicide, they said that Kaylee was trapped. Remember when that first came out, and she was
on the bed
sitting position, slumped. Now whatever became of that, because now we have these animations showing that she's like tucked in bed sleeping, right?
Well, and that's an issue for me too. I'm kind of glad you brought that up because they came out of nowhere and they were telling this as if it was a factual statement that they found out at that point that they had just been told or just saw or heard, whatever it was, that Kaylee was sitting up in the corner like she had backed herself into the corner to get away. And 1 second.
And now we know they're being posed.
Yeah, that she had backed herself into the corner next to Maddie. And then it comes back to us not too long after that she's laying side by side with Maddie or laying across Maddie. We've been told 4 different things. But that came from the victim's family when they told us that. So every one of us wants to go, okay, well, if they're telling us that, that's got to be true. What? Good question. What happened with that? Where did that
I think
go?
that is the truth.
What they said?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that would.
How do you make that
that'd be
up?
interesting.
What incentive would law enforcement or whoever, it's someone associated with the state, prosecution.
What is there to gain from it? Right.
Why would they say that? That is this is where, we have to decipher something. One of them, they can't both be true. So one of them's the truth, one's the lie. So how do we figure it out? Well, let's work through it. So what incentive would there be for the state to tell the G's that? And
good point.
And if you look at this animation, the latest thing that we're looking at with Maddie, her leg is off the bed. Everyone's looked at that AI. The only way to do that, the only way to put that together with the sheet being, the comforter or whatever, being in the right, like 3D mapping, like with laser, like they do inside of a Notre Dame Cathedral or whatever. I know what you mean. And, it looks like that. The only way they can do that is with reality. That is what it was truly. And then you got Kaylee laying there. So be careful. So if it's like, well, that is with a photo or with 3D mapping that they got Maddie laying there with her leg off of the bed. So that is truth. So if they are able to do that, then they're also so good as to, I guess, depict in a false way Kaylee's position on the bed too.
That's what I was going to say, because I don't know. I have issues with this a little bit too, because when we got the crime scene photographs, okay, and you look at Maddie and Maddie's bedroom where they were found, so on and so forth, it doesn't line up with that statement, Eddie. It's weird. The positioning of the bodies does not line up with what we see in those photographs with that statement at all. So at that point, there again, what do you take? What do we take from that? What is that? You know what I mean? Because when they said that, we were all like, oh, okay, well, she's sitting in the corner, so on and so forth. That's what we believed. They dropped these 3,000 photographs, this and that. And we start going through them. We get to that point. It does not match. It does not match. So how do we take that and why? You know what I'm saying? Based on what you just said.
No, wait a minute. For the first time, I'm looking at chat. Lucy is saying, we have the images. You can see that she's not sitting up. There's images of Kaylee?
Yes. Because
I've been gone
that all dropped when you were gone.
I thought they weren't going to show pictures of the bodies.
They weren't supposed to. They did.
And they did.
They made a couple mistakes, and then you can actually see the black boxes. They did put some out with some boxes over certain things, and it doesn't fit based on what they said.
I've never seen Kaylee's in a photo.
Yeah, they show like her side of the bed, and you can see the wall next to her pillow covered in blood, and you can see where her body would be under the box, so on and so forth. It's not sitting up right by any means.
Maybe someday when we have the time, we can look at that and bring me up.
Yeah, I can actually go back at some point. Not today, obviously, because we're about done here. But at some point, if you want, we can do a show. I have another show I'm putting together to do on DNA, too. So, which I'd love to have you join me on. But, if you want to, we can go through the pictures again, lay certain things out. Actually, just to point those things out like that. So that'd be a good idea.
So is what Lucy's saying is that we can trust that AI reanimation of the two bodies laying there on the bed, and that's accurate?
I think that they based it off of the photographs that we saw. That's my opinion. Yeah. Everything else she said was ridiculous, but I'll just say, I can say that makes sense based on what we saw.
Okay. It changes what I thought, but it doesn't change the fact that there's two inconsistencies. The G's saying that she's sitting upright and slumped.
That's just another one of their inconsistencies, just like the fact that Hunter Johnson was called over to open Xana's door because they couldn't get it open. It's another one of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It fits in that bucket, truly. So, absolutely. And it's evident. You can tell that she had to have been laying down too because of the way the blood on the pillow is there, so on and so forth. It just doesn't. At some point, she had to have been laying there. Whether she was laying across Maddie, and that's how, but she was still laying down because they told us that too. I don't know. It's a mess, guys. It's a huge mess. It always has been. It's always going to be until something changes in that aspect. But there again, like I said, today was just, like I said, motives, suspects, corruption, and that's what we've been talking about. What would the motive be? That motive could make some sense suspect wise. I think we can kind of filter through different people suspect wise. And of course, the corruption is just ongoing from the go, period. So, and there'll be more of this. So, yeah, and I do want to make sure too, when I put this DNA thing together, because you had brought that up, I definitely want to run that show. And I'd actually like to go back through those photos again, Eddie. So you give me good reason to do it. That way you could see some things that are just like, what the hell is that?
Wasn't there some photos that in Maddie's room that were deleted and they're gone forever?
There were 3.
Yeah.
I think 3 because Lana went nuts about that. And yeah, they were deleted because they were blurry. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, they're blurry. That's what it was.
That's what he did, supposedly. So yeah,
I wonder. Makes you wonder what, because wasn't her hair? You could tell that's hair that made the impression on the wall, right? Or the bloody.
In that one room, yeah, there was definitely hair drags, they call them, through the blood and stuff, right? Hell, we even seen a photograph that resembles, to me, it looks like that's in Xana's room. One of the photographs shows what looks to be, how you have the eyelash extensions that women wear.
Yes.
It looks like one of those eyelashes embedded in blood on the wall in Xana's room, truly. And it was stated that Kaylee, they only found one of her eyelashes. We wondered, and again, that takes you back to her being attacked on the second floor still. So would that take her into Xana's room? But there's no talk of any of Kaylee's blood being in there. It's just, you'd have to have her face shoved into the wall, into that blood. It's all weird, Eddie. The whole thing is a damn mess. It truly is. But yeah, there's a lot. I would really actually love to get your opinion on these photographs. I forgot that you hadn't seen them. You were down at that time. Okay, Hemi, thank you for joining us, brother. So that would be actually a good show, is if they tested the eyelash. Good point, but based on what everything was stated. But yeah, that would be interesting, because I'd like to get your take on the photographs, and we can go back through them and point out this, that, and everything else, because I never did get to get your thoughts on it. So that's a good idea for that. Plus, it'll give us another look at these photographs that, we only got one good one. It took a while, but.
I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just can't help but thinking, because it's undeniable that we're on to Kaylee again.
Yeah.
Her hair made that mark on the wall. So her head was there at one time on the wall.
Sure. It very likely was. Yeah. Like I said, when they brought her in there, if she was carried into that room, it could have been when they tossed her over there. It could have brushed against the wall, hit the wall at that point, maybe.
Why? What reason would they have to, once she's on the bed, what reason to move her? There wouldn't be a lot for that to happen at that time. But think about those 3 missing photographs. Like, those were was her condition initially, and then they looked at the photographs. I'd like to know when those photographs were deleted. When did they decide, no, that's not a good look? Curious, because
right.
What if she was in that position, and then the investigators all said no, and they were the ones that. I'm just thinking out loud.
It's a good question, though.
Because there's the problem with, like, under her thigh there was blood, but there's no wound to match above.
Yeah.
that
Right.
created
Well,
that blood.
and don't forget though that they also stated like that they say that those two died in that bed because there's no blood below the waist. That was their statement. I don't believe that, but meaning that Kaylee had to have died in the bed. She wasn't on the second floor. Bullshit. Sorry. I just feel like if whatever happened to her on the second floor, she was picked up and carried. Therefore, in turn, it's not going to drip down to the lower half of her body. You know what I mean? So that would explain that rather than the other. So yeah, there's actually a lot of questions I had for you when we covered the photographs, this and that, and everything else. I think you'll have a lot of questions yourself when you see them because there was a lot of different things we learned. That is what Eddie. I don't know if you realize it, but that's what had Howard Bloom and other people saying, "Wait a minute, I don't think Bryan could have done this by himself." When they saw the photographs in Xana's room and stuff like that, and it made him and quite a few other people actually start to change their mind in that aspect. So that would be something for you to see as well, to see what your thoughts are. Yeah, they were all sleeping and never woke up. That's a joke to me. Especially, they never woke up and they were sleeping when they got their defensive wounds too. You know how that works, folks.
They felt no pain, to keep in mind.
Yeah, that would be a great thought. That would be good to know that they felt no pain, but we all know that's not true.
Very early on, the G's said that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. They've said so many things. One of the statements they made that it made me so angry and pissed me off to no end was, it wouldn't have mattered in defense of Dylan and Bethany. Once again, it wouldn't have mattered if they would have called 911 because nobody could have been saved. First off, I'm sorry, but that's ignorant. How the fuck do you know that? You weren't there. You don't know anything about medical. You can go based on whatever the hell they tell you. But if this was true, what we heard that Dylan heard right away, the moment Kaylee screamed that she'd have dialed 911, we know the response time for Moscow to get to that house is very quick. They likely could have interrupted or saved somebody at the very least, in my opinion. So that statement alone still has me pissed off to this day because you should never say that. I'm sorry. But they've said a lot of things like that too, was my point. Good to see you, musical cherubs.
Well, it was a great conversation. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, it always is. I'm glad you were here, and I'm looking forward to this next one with the photographs again. I really, really want to go back through those, especially with you. So hopefully you'll be able to be here for that. I'm going to set that up here relatively soon in the next couple of days if I can. Maddie's bed had tons of red stuff in the middle of the bed on top of the comforter, but both found under the comforter were they covered up. See, that's another question too, Meanie, because Ethan was covered up. It's from the way it looked too. And the only one that didn't seem covered up was because that's why they pulled those photographs, Eddie, by the way. We actually saw Xana. They didn't black her out. There was a point where they screwed up and we saw her. It was a little disheartening. I'll just say that much. So yeah, it was definitely an awesome conversation. And I do appreciate, the inference that Bob made there. It gives us something to think about for sure. Break it down. Absolutely. So I got to say that he made some good points in this one. I definitely feel that way. So thank you, sir. Moto, it was great to have you up here for the first time. Great to hear from you, sir. Of course, Eddie, it's always, always, always a pleasure when you're here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And, again, thanks to Pav, because it's like a springboard to interesting conversation.
Every time. Yeah.
So, all right.
Yes.
I'll hop out and
all right, brother.
Being with everybody today, as always. Everybody
Absolutely.
have a nice evening.
You too, buddy. And hope to see you soon here.
We'll see you soon, Dago. Thank you.
All right, brother. Take care. All right, guys. Another great conversation as always. Thank you, Eddie, for joining me. Moto Man, great to have you up here for the first time. And of course, Hemi, thank you for joining us as well. Great combo. I think we kind of got to the point to some aspect that we wanted to. Always a good conversation, in my opinion, and I always enjoy it. And of course, it's always great to have Eddie here. So Thank you all for being here as always. Thank you to my moderators. You guys are amazing. I think we're a little past 3 hours, but that's okay. You guys, the mods in here, you guys are amazing as always. Couldn't do it without you. And thank you to all of you with whom I would never exist. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Please make sure, guys, to hit the like button before you leave if you haven't done it yet, and share this out if you will, please and thank you. Don't forget, tonight, 8 p.m., we changed the time around. We're starting at 8 p.m. this evening over at Devil's Advocate Eastern Time, and I believe it's 5 Pacific. I'm looking forward to that with myself, Logan from Bronx Tales, Lee, Robin, and 1-1. Look forward to seeing you guys for that. And that is what it is. So, guys, don't forget to love yourselves and love each other, and don't change nothing, because, as I always say, you guys are the beautiful people. I'll see you guys very soon. Nothing but love. Thank you, Senor. God bless, bro. And I will see you guys very soon. Bye-bye. Have a great night, folks.
The coffee's cold, the final stain. We laid the map out in the pouring rain. No hidden corners left to creep. The dark truth woke while the city was asleep. The evidence lines up straight and true, a perfect picture of what they chose to do. The quiet street erupts in flashing light, a reckoning delivered in the night. SWAT serves the warrant, loud and clear, the sound of justice, the only thing we hear at the True Crime Cafe. We watch the suspect finally pay. The dark truth is backed and signed and sealed. The wound is closed, the name is finally healed. It's finally healed. The cafe's empty, closed for the night. We put the darkness back into the light. We'll wipe the counter, set the empty chair, and wait right here for the next secret laid bare. Until